After spiritual entertainment, the Korean version that has just been launched in 2026 has created a global craze. Witches, Taoists, fortune tellers, horoscopes, along with the fortune teller Taroth. A total of 49 mysterious people who possess anomalous magic will launch the Korean version of Magic Battle. The venue of the first qualifying round is set indoors. First, let's briefly introduce a few contestants so that everyone can easily remember their names later. The first to enter the field is the female, who inherited 3 generations. Legend has it that the water and lake have a strong energy market, so Helsinghan chose a very good location. She held a 5-color command, performing the 4-way ceremony to pay her respects, because every piece of land was inhabited by strange spirits. It must be very interesting. Bell Hadsong has 15 years of experience as a witch, and currently mainly provides services to the entertainment industry. So she's also quite famous in Korea. The man wearing a pair of bags claims to be a Taoist, mainly using the 4 pillars of magic to advise large businesses. Lee Do-kyung, a general with 11 years of experience, just appeared with a strong smell of gunpowder. Sorry, tarot fortune teller, your mind is very weak. How do you know? Huh? Looking at his picture teacher, his heart was very weak. Next, female witches with outstanding bodies appeared one after another. Many people secretly exclaimed, they must have been in the wrong place today. Of course, dance is their main profession, and the witch is only a left-handed job. Monal, a tarot fortune teller, has just appeared and successfully attracted everyone's attention. Monal's dream is to become Korea's tarot reader. The moment the drum sounded, a large number of prophets appeared. At first glance, she thought that magician Saman had been lost for a long time. Her ability was to enter a spirit, relying on it to predict possible dangers in the appearance of the fat girl IGUC do push the atmosphere at the scene to the peak. Just as everyone was guessing whether she came to be the host or not, suddenly someone was surprised to call out that Lee Guyu was also a contestant. That's right, I'm a contestant, she said. It's amazing. I'm going to use tarot cards to play landlord duels. She also said that she has 5 years of experience in divination. The contestants who appear next are basically all tarot fortune telling, accounting for more than half of the number of contestants. Next appeared were academic candidates, most of whom belong to the Taoist school or field related to psychology. So what kind of god is this chocolate? She claims to be able to summon 10,000 gods, and since she was 5 years old, she has special abilities. Speaking of experience, she does not humbly say that she is richer than everyone here. That person is wearing a robe. Who is it? Is it a woman? Is it a man or a woman? Oh my god, wait. The male which being entered by the female, which brings joy. Everyone guessed that he had followed some mysterious instructions. He claims to have started learning martial arts since he was 5 years old. So far, he has 13 years of practice experience. At the age of 18, he also became the youngest contestant in the whole school. The team of odd contestants took turns on the field. Hello, everyone. The next second, an embarrassing scene occurred. Even more ridiculous is that the TV was also brought to the stage. The rest of us won't recommend them one by one anymore. All are beautiful boys and girls. Let's get back to the main topic. 49 contestants took turns to stand in positions. After a part of the blood moon appeared in the sky, everyone first proceeded with the ritual of blessing, and a common voice and various kinds of summons echoed throughout the studio. You can imagine the feeling of shaking at the scene. In the next second, 5 judges appeared. They are both quite famous in Korean spiritual circles. Transforming into messengers of destiny determines the departure or stay of the contestants. The first qualifying round officially began. Confrontation intuition. Intuition is the ability to perceive things beyond the 5 senses. Sight, hearing, retirement, taste, and touch. This is a confrontation of intuition. Each question has only one survivor. In the end, there are only 20 slots to go on. Here's the first question. A photo appears on the screen. Specify the woman's date of birth and death. The contestants only rely on this single clue to decipher the cause of death of the deceased. She's dead. Obviously, the first door has made it difficult for many people. In the next second, the sound of flipping golden tarot cards was everywhere. Someone opened the fan, which seemed to be able to get power from it. There are people who use bells. It seems that using one can solve everything. There are also people who use computer algorithms to arrange the 4 pillars of morality. This scene, even the judges couldn't help but ask questions. Oh, I'm getting cocky, it's so noisy. Like this, you can't summon a god. There are so many different types of bells. Only the female, which lie SOC Jin, was as calm as nothing. She entered a state of trance, isolating all the noise outside. In particular, the most prominent is the Ubi car to sleep on. She thinks that as long as the connection to the occult world is solid enough, no tools are needed to receive instructions. Lee Guc, though obviously half-hearted, gave up. At this moment, a witch made a painful sound. She was really miserable, alone. She is lonely and arrogant. She died alone. So pitiful, so pitiful. The fairy gone next to her also saw the image. She said, every joint on the deceased's arm was extremely painful. It hurt very much, and then I fell. Shogun, with strong strength, spoke up first. Her body was torn apart. They were all shattered. There were a lot of scars. At the same time, the cry rang out again. The person in the yellow coat seemed to be crying. Is someone crying? It turned out that the witch Ning Ha felt the pain of the deceased. What's wrong? Did she feel anything? She seemed to have sensed the emotions of the ghost. Oh my God, I got a chicken. Grandma, Grandpa, don't go. She said that this was influenced by her restoration ritual. Grandma, show me how she died. The weeping soul said that he died very tragically. At this time, Bona began to disseminate knowledge. According to records, the ritual of each, which is not the same. When they connect with the deceased, someone can feel the other person's state of death. The answer time is over. This question has a total of 40 people with spiritual abilities participating in the challenge. But only the first 7 people who pressed the light had a chance to answer. The 5 pseudo-monks of destiny will compare with the answers in the Book of Destiny to decide who can move on. The first responder was the wizard Jude man. First, this tall woman. I heard her throat suffocate, like suffocation. He assumed that the deceased could not breathe. His heart beat fast suddenly, and he could see water. Highly probable judgment is death while traveling abroad. Ah, it's miraculous. His answer hit a few important pieces of information. The contestants below all said that the woman's death was an accident. Then the youngest wizard replied. He said that the deceased at birth was not in good health, probably missing in a place very far from home. Oh my God, I got goosebumps. I sensed that she was missing. It's ridiculous. Oh my God, how'd he know? Next, Co. Ubi spoke out his answer. My body said it was cold and dark. I hear that. What so are you sure I died that day? This statement astonished all the judges. There's no doubt about it. Her answer was absolutely correct. Are you sure she died that day? She probably wouldn't have died that day. Missing from behind the door. It was not found until much later. After speaking, she returned to the cold goddess look. Her answer was incredibly detailed. Decryption ends. The false fake countries synthesize their opinions. Choose the most accurate decoder. The first person to go after was Co. Ubi. Co. Ubi became the first contestant to move on. After that, the organizers announced the facts. Mountaineer Gomi Yang died in an accident while climbing the Himalayas in 2009. See the answer. People with spiritual capacity do not have the right to answer in turn, giving their answers. Full of regrets. In fact, many people have guessed that they're the exact cause of death. The deceased, after falling off the cliff, did not die on the spot. When the search team found him, he was already a frozen body. So the date of his death is just an estimate. Co. Ubi firmly believed that the woman did not die on that day. It is possible to imagine how terrible the torment he went through before he died. The second question of the test officially begins. The big screen showed a photo of the deceased again. Like the previous question, there is only the date of birth and the date of death. Candidates need to rely on this single clue. Use your own abilities to recreate the cause of the man's death. As soon as he spoke, the bell rang again, accompanied by each mantra, and his head went numb when he heard it. Occasionally mixed with a few sounds of blood, it made people's whole bodies harder. I heard the sound of blood stirring from 4 directions and 8 directions. Oh my God, I'm getting cocky. The bronze master was bleeding. Mr. Dong Zio looked very confident. Of course, Mr. Dong Zio not only knows the blood, but also has practiced the West. He claimed that his family of 3 generations were all family witches. He also claimed to be confident in guessing the cause of death. The point is to rely entirely on guesswork. At the same time, the bell of the Hellsin cave, which gradually faded. She fell into a trance. Thinking that her eyes were constantly trembling, it showed that she had sensed the image. Someone is yawning. He looked really tired. Maha Swing said, yawning is his exclusive skill. Every time he connects with gods like grandmothers, grandfathers, he can't help but yawn continuously. Often, at this time, it is possible to decipher the past, predict the future. He also carried a black cloth prize with him. He called it kill, a calamitous knot. After successfully decoding, put the scissors on the fabric again. It could be relied upon to comfort unfortunate souls. Imagine that soul lying on the kill, lying on the black cloth. At this height, I felt the chi and wanted to jump into the puddle in front of me. Because it was too hot, I felt my skin burn from the inside out. The person who died was a firefighter. In 2001, while rescuing at the scene of fire in H.O.N.G.G. Edong, the ceiling and walls suddenly collapsed. He was buried, sacrificing Mr. Dong. Very quickly, the answer time ran out. 29 people with spiritual abilities participated in this round of challenges. According to the rules, only the first 7 people to press the button are eligible to answer. Mahadu Duong, who pressed the button first, decoded first. I told you that the date of your birth was given to the gods. He said that his destiny was very close to fire. I assume he's fighting fires as a firefighter. Opening his mouth, he spoke directly to the core answer. The 5 judges were so astonished that they couldn't keep their mouths shut. I'm going crazy. He described the man who was dressed in thick clothes and hats, and who smelled the dust strongly. What he saw before he died was a fierce fire. There's a high chance of being trapped in a fire and in distress. Me too, so am I. He also summed up that the person who died at birth was a very good person, but in destiny he always went hand in hand with the breath of death. Therefore, he used a way to save people to fight this fate. What is this? That's it. The first one is so strong, what should we do? How'd he do it? Next it was Bahadur Jiang's turn to cheek. Interestingly, this is also a confrontation. Bahadur Jiang will probably take down Master Belhadizong. I think he is a civil servant. The first thing that came to my mind was sacrifice for the sake of the mission. I think he died very gloriously. He also pointed out the climber died in the fire. There was a heavy object pressed him. The person was trapped in a narrow space. He may have been trapped. Oh my God, he was stuck. He judged that the person who had died at that time had suffered a concussion or broken bones. The real cause of death was not burned to death. I think so too. My joints can't die. Then it was Master Belhadizong's turn to answer. They said the deceased was a civil servant who had fought a fire in a fire and also died in the fire. This is exactly the same information I received. He frankly said that the answer had already been told, and he could only add details. At that time, the situation was extremely critical. The person who has been miserable has absolutely no way out. They all said he was a firefighter. Next, the teacher co-starred. As I tried to feel his soul, I felt a sense of oppression stronger than fire. I think something fell on him, crushing him to death. It was this strong sense of oppression that made him completely unable to breathe. Before the shoe's smoke suffocated him, he could have been crushed to death. He thought that the person who had suffered had a chance to survive, but was trapped and unable to move, and finally missed the chance to live. In the case of sacrifice for the sake of the mission, he gave the answer that he was crushed to death by a heavy object, and the addition of what was pressed on him could be a piece of metal. Your answer is almost completely correct. The judges also looked surprised. Finally, after discussion, they handed over the export to my Ha Swing Duong. He was the first to describe in detail the identity of the firefighters and the context of the fire, taking full advantage. After that, my Ha Swing Duong added decoding. The first thing he felt was chest tightness and severe headaches. If it is death due to head injury, the pain will come from the surface of the body. But he only felt dizzy, and there's also a strong feeling of suffocation, like inhaling a large amount of thick smoke, which was very suffocating. In the illusion, there was also the action of the person who had taken off his heavy helmet. He also vividly recreated the image of a person who used to eat popsicles with colleagues, jokingly knocking popsicles at each other. Well, just like the scene in the movie. Uncle Na Jiui said that although he finally chose my Ha Swing, Mr. Dong Sio's decoding was also extremely accurate. The fact that he said that he could have been saved was almost true. At that time, the scene mobilized 250 firefighters to rescue. Unfortunately, when we arrived, it was too late. Finally, before leaving, my Ha Swing Duong made a request. He wanted to untie the knot that he had just tied. He said that when he untied the knot, he could clearly feel the grief of the deceased. His actions have earned the respect of all those with psychic abilities. Everyone held hands and closed their eyes to pay their respects to this great firefighter. When you untie the button, you can see the soul leave. Finally, put the cloth together. If the tails fit together, it means that the soul is at rest. The problem of the person who has lost his life is temporarily over. Next will be the Living Version Challenge. The program invited 4 male guests. I smell up money. This question is to filter the heavens and be considered for beaten. Of the 4 people, one won the jackpot. One knight became a millionaire. The other person was tragically beaten in the middle of the sky. In the middle of the day, he was hit for no reason. Maybe it was because he could say too much and forgot to install a lightning rod. The question has just been announced. Full screen is a question mark. Obviously, this excellence is even lower than winning the lottery. People with spiritual abilities must use their abilities to decipher the destiny of 4 people. Find out who is the person who is rich one night. Who is considered and beaten. They can't simply pick 2 people. You have to say who happened what. Yes, then it's even more difficult. No, 2's hairstyle is very similar to the person being judged. What's up? Don't joke anymore. At this time, someone below began to silently guess. Obviously, the difficulty of this question has been pushed to the maximum. However, for the 4-pillar math teachers, it is a win. The large screen simultaneously projects the date of birth information of 4 people. But the show has deliberately concealed a few numbers. The 4-pillar math teachers couldn't wait any longer. The learner of the four pillars should be able to guess. I think I have a very good chance of this sentence. It's interesting. Oh my God. His four pillars lack needles. I almost completely knew the right answer. The first card has coins. Then it symbolizes the talent of making a whirlwind. After all, it's still a guess. The talent was unexpected. I chose number 2. The last one is a little short in stature. Super crooked posture. Lean was placed in the line to be considered and beaten by him. I made my choice. Very quickly, the response period ends. In this round, a total of 39 people with psychic abilities press the button to win the right to answer. Still only choose the first 7 people to answer. The first to decipher was Kim, USA. He's a 4-pillar math teacher. Exploitation, righteousness, and genius all converge enough. In perenniality, water and wood are mutual, capable of great talent. After that, he judged that number 1 was the one who was judged. People with horse armor are often very hard. So I used the translation to calculate. Going out to swing the wind and lightning symbolizes invasion. To put it bluntly, the destiny of number 1 is closely related to infiltration. Next, 4-pillar math teacher Joe Jonghack gave the answer. I've been studying the 4 pillars for a long time. He also thinks that the unexpected talent is number 2. The 4 pillars have 3 symbols of wealth. This person's 4 pillars are destroying them. Destruction means that the treasury has been opened. When the treasury opens, they're the jackpots. So I think he is very easy to attract fortune and people of the opposite sex. And the analysis of the number 1 guest is under great pressure. Also choose number 1 as the person who is considered to be beaten. Then the fortune teller Taro's Domi began to answer. I think Yuj Suk has received a blessing. And Mr. Kim Song Jioka was considered for beaten. She has drawn the wheel of destiny, the magician, and the king of money. She thought that she was beaten, but still survived. Fortunately, this is actually no different from the general number. Very good decoding. The key lies in how to decipher. Another Taro's fortune teller below offers a similar interpretation. The general number and being judged are both very small events. He drew for number 1 the money and the tower. In the card, there's both money and invasion. The card drawn for number 4 is judgment. There's even an image of the sword king piercing through. The answers of the 2 Taro's fortune tellers are surprisingly similar. Is it transcription? By looking at the face, you know. Then Jahindia he gave the answer. Before they came in, I already knew. He thinks that number 2 is the lucky person with the same number. Number 4 was the one who was considered and beaten. As for number 2, simply put, in his ancestors there were nobles of noble status. I saw that there were several nobles beside him. His family used to have a high and respectful power, accumulated a lot of virtue. Number 4 has been cheating all his life. Everything is not favorable. From there, it was confirmed that he was the one who was beaten. The time to reply here is over. The one who went on was Jahindia. To express his joy, Jahindia, he couldn't help but cry with joy. The answer was then officially announced. Lee Byung-jun in 2011 won a whopping $1 billion gold. Kim Song-jioka was riding a motorcycle in 2008. Considered hit. 9 days after the alcohol period survived. This is enough for him to brag about for the rest of his life. He used to be a professional golfer. After being judged, he could no longer play football, but suddenly awakened her singing talent. Currently, a singing trainee. At this time, Park Na asked, does the number 4 have a chance to turn your fortunes around? Jahinia thought for a while, and then spoke. Some people sing full of joy. Some people hide a deep melancholy. Is the number 4 clearly of the type? He insists the number 4 will reach its peak in May next year. But after the peak, there will be a downhill road. Soon after, the new challenge began. This time, the program invited up to 5 guests dressed in robes. Don't tell me you have to find the witch. It seems like we have to guess who the witch is. That's right, in the guess there are 2 real witches. People with spiritual abilities must decipher their destiny. Find out who the real teacher is. It's too fun, it's too simple. By looking at the eyes, you know. By looking at the eyes, you know. We know by looking at our eyes. Hada Dong Duckweed also boasted on the spot. Even if it was to find a witch out of 100 people, it was a small matter for him. In the next second, the bell rang everywhere again. Everyone felt that this sentence was not very difficult. Before he could finish speaking, he began to bleed again. Everyone slowly looked into the eyes of the guests. The scene was suddenly silent, on the contrary, making the judges unnatural. They say it is possible to see the gods. How can you see the face of an old woman? I look at number 1 and number 3. Their faces became very red. I looked at one and immediately knew that it was them. At this time, Ligu seriously moved himself. Only the witch Helsing Cave was particularly unconfident. She closed her eyes and felt the opponent's energy field. Help me with. Grandma, I can't see it. This time, the goddess refused to help her. On the other side, Dong Diong muttered to himself. Her name is Kong Seong. Please tell me if she worships a god. Dong Diong has been an actor for 16 years. She has only been a witch for half a year, but he claimed to have superhuman spiritual power. The answer time is over. The witch Helsen Hang answered first. I was assigned between numbers 1, 3, and 5. If it's number 1, I see an old man's soul. It is one entity with the ability to heal. Number 3, Kong Seong, I saw a young girl. She also has the 4 pillars of one witch. Very accurate. She relied on observation to determine that numbers 1 and 3 were the correct answers. First of all, I've narrowed the range down to numbers 1, 3, and 5. The number 3 indeed worships the gods, but he was punished by the worship general. My conclusion is that she is a witch. He thinks that the number 5 is a witch. The voice in no. One's head is especially clear, even making it difficult for him. Finally, choose number 3 and number 5. The deductor, surnamed Juno, first appeared to answer. She claims to know everything about the other party just by looking at her name. From the beginning, I wrote the answer in the book. When I see a person's name, it's like meeting that person himself. I can see their past, present, and future. I saw their circumstances and gave them advice. This is also her difference compared to other contestants. Decisively choose the number 1 and number 3 and submit the paper. After decoding, the answer was announced. The person who went after Ms. Helsinghang. Helsinghang took the advantage of going ahead again. 2 people have the same answer, but only one goes on. Helsinghang, who pressed the lamp first, successfully moved on. The crazy entertainment program raises a new question. This time, people with spiritual abilities do not look at the face, do not look at the hand, but have to look at the foot. 9 pairs of legs come from strangers of different ages. On the screen in front of you are 9 pairs of legs. Please guess which pair are the legs of the homeless. Among them was a homeless person wandering the streets. This bizarre question, in addition to causing teasing from the whole studio, also put the contestants under extreme pressure. The organizers provided photos for each person. The witch Hong Jinky immediately complained. He never lets a pedestrian into his workplace. Feel that this is a divine sell-off. Now, he has to stare at his feet to calculate. One insult. Mrs. Haduju next to her also muttered. I feel that just looking at photos doesn't do much. Well, pick up the bell and shake it. On the other side, Chow Naha impatiently scratched her head and scratched her ears, stared at the documents, and kept mumbling the birthdays of 9 people. He said to decipher the fate of many people at the same time. It is indeed both harmful to the god and to the body. To put it bluntly, this is completely useless. The tarot fortune teller also began to deduce, drawing a card for each person. Only one person draws a different card. Surprisingly, the whole studio actually had a professional foot master, Kim Baek-jong. With 35 years of experience in watching the legs, it is definitely no longer difficult in the pocket of the pants, but difficult in the pants. Immediately, Ha was determined to win points in this question. He analyzed each pair of feet passionately, saying that the shape and size of the toenails were all different. The legs of number 4 and no. 6 were on his radar first. Looking back at General Lee Du-kyung, his face was completely dumbfounded. I don't want to champion very much. A person who specializes in looking at faces is forced to look at his legs, which is really a bit difficult for people. But he boasts of having rich experience with feet. The sadness in his heart immediately dissipated. I'm going to guess right. That's right, it's still a guess. At the end of the answer time, Hong Jin-ki won the first answer. What answer would a wizard from the fashion design department give? He said that every time he connected with the gods, his body would heat up. So he put his hand on the photo of each leg to feel it, until the palm was hot. The answer appeared to be the number of the 4th person. This person should be very rich, very blessed. But if there's a loss, it will be a very heavy loss. So I think this person is most likely homeless. He claimed this person was in crisis. It is also said that the homeless and the poor are not the same. Most of the time, the opposite fate will give people a pretty good feeling. Finally, choose the number 4 and submit the paper. Immediately afterwards, he saw the long, round cypress leg general. Number 4. I think number 4 is the last possibility. Because our feet all have veins. Everyone has some basic veins, but these legs barely see those veins. He was right. He couldn't see the veins very clearly. He said there was no clear vein. Represents this person who has lost the motivation to live. It also indicates the 4th toe of the number 4. The 2 sides are completely asymmetrical. This may represent a financial problem. He could even see this point. So I'm sure number 4 is the right answer. Hearing this, Hong Jinky, who answered first, laughed. It must be known that he had the advantage ahead. I used to learn a little bit about foot pathology. The shape of the soles of the feet of the number 9 is very unusual. It turns out that there is also a specialty in foot pathology. It was the teacher's turn to see the general answer. He thinks that on the leg of the number 9, there's a scar left by tetanus. This is very common among homeless people. The tarot fortune teller monarch just opened his mouth and said a test sentence. She felt that apart from the fact that number four's legs were too smelly, everyone else had a home to go to. The card reveals a coffin that resembles the kind of flower coffin we use to bury the dead. It implies that someone's life is coming to an end, but it can be explained that they are drifting with the wind, taking the four directions as a home, without a fixed place to live. Actually, when she drew the paper, she had the answer. So directly affirming number 4 is homeless. The homeless also chose the number 4 and submitted the paper. Believe that people are used to it. The contestants swipe their tails and then follow their heels one after another. At this point, the decoding part of this round has ended. The one who went on, Hong Jinky. There's no doubt about it. The most awake person in this round is the professional foot general Kim Baek-jong. The answer was revealed. No, for has been away from his family for 18 years, only wandering the streets. After that, Hong Jinky added that the birthday of number 4 is very close to his birthday, either a rich life or a poor one. There are only these two possibilities. It turned out to be so. Park Na-jae raised his question. He says homeless housing different from a poor. What is the difference between these two types? The capital of the poor has no fortune, nor the potential for improvement. The homeless have the ability to improve their well-being with needles. There are ways to find opportunities to improve lives. At this time, Park Na-jae couldn't help but exclamation. This so-called fate is also too miraculous. He saw that although the true general was not allowed to go on, he also added it correctly. The first toe, the big toe, represents the father. The second toe represents the mother. The third toe represents yourself. The fourth toe represents husband and wife and fortune. The little toe represents the descendants. The fourth toe is particularly small, and there are scars representing insufficient resources. Homeless people often have very poor immune systems and are very susceptible to foot fungus. Number 4 in particular weakness. He found that he was malnourished for a long time, lacking clothes and necessities. These are the typical feet of a wanderer. His decoding made everyone give slight thumbs, accurately in the right place, but unfortunately lost a hand speed. What is more surprising is that the leg of number 2 is that of the host. The host hurriedly asked the teacher for his opinion to see the general. He has severe foot fungus, just dry psoriasis, not foot fungus. The fortune teller immediately added that this was exactly the foot mushroom. The teacher saw that General Chun also seriously added again. Jun Hyun-moo's future is extremely bright. If you look at the foot, the left foot shows your innate property. The right foot is the latter endeavor. Well, it's like looking at your hand. There's a line that can see your fate. Looking at your right foot, there's a path that goes up to the middle. The left foot is weaker enough to prove that he is hard enough to make up for it, not because of smart diligence, but as a result of talent plus hard work. He even said directly that he is currently temporarily single. If he gets married early, he will definitely be divorced a long time ago. This sentence made the whole studio astonished and couldn't keep their mouths shut. As for waiting, when his fame and fortune accumulate enough, 7 years later is the time to get married. How old was he at that time? I am Shishjishonte. There is a particularly interesting point. The teacher watched General Foot speak. The fourth toe of the special host full of bullets could not help but open the brace. It is also said that if you get married early, your toes will be smaller. Now that you want to get married, your toes will slowly get bigger. The topic of this issue is indeed interesting. The small feet that people step on every day hide a vast world of human life. Boring tests we won't talk about in detail. The 20 people with spiritual abilities successfully moved on, directly entering the high-grade magic battle. A survival game where fortune tellers have to resist fate. The second round, the gas confrontation. Legend has it that among people with spiritual abilities, there's an unwritten rule, absolutely not to look into each other's destiny. It's really impossible. How can we see for each other? But, no way, but the organizers of the refuge wanted to break this taboo. Why break the taboo? I'm so bad. Do they want us to see each other's fortune-telling? Many people with spiritual abilities from the bottom of their hearts do not have the courage to break through. If I had to confront other witches because that witch had her own god would break out a war. The rules of the challenge are simple. Confrontation 1 chooses 1, deciphering the fate of the opponent. This round will eliminate 10 people with spiritual abilities because the theme is chi. Then it is certainly impossible to ignore the comparison of energy. If the Star Witch Ubi is the first person to move on, she has the right to choose her opponent in her hands. Whoever has the confidence to beat me can just step up. But in the end, only Kim Baek-jong and Ji Hindi-ong took the initiative to challenge. I looked at you and realized that I could see through your destiny completely. So I decided to challenge you. I have no reason at all. Her name is Co Ubi, right? Confidence is good, but she really me off. Ji Hindi-ong said that since the program began, she has felt hostility. Are you an old lady or a little niece? Whichever it is, you look very hot. You're sulking. It was very obvious that Co Ubi's previous words had completely him off. Co Ubi also did not hesitate, choosing him directly. Although Hindiong was 10 years younger than her, she had clearly seen that this guy was extremely strong. The next person to be challenged was Chow Mendoza. When I was named Chow Mendoza, I was taught to follow my destiny, to communicate my destiny well. If you want to decipher fate, please come up. Some people feel that he is still inexperienced, quite easy to deal with. There was also a witch who said that she had just seen him was full body soon. All the opponents were paired. The program also changed new judges. Park Ha-soon claimed to be able to see spirits, replacing the previous psychologist. The first time I saw her, I knew she had an unusual flow of energy. In our words, she was destined to carry demons. The first confrontation took place between Chow Mendoza and the goddess Ninga. The two sat on the judgment chair and took out their magic weapons. The winner of the confrontation will be decided by the vote of the messengers of destiny. Of course, all clues were handed over to the organizers early, written in the Book of Destiny. The two sides simultaneously draw a card, deciding who will attack first. Too strong. Ningha attacked first. It is better to attack first. Is that so? Because they can act first. Ningha goddess first asked Chow Mendoza's real name and date of birth. Immediately opened the fan, rang the bell, muttered in his mouth. Please help me to tell the truth accurately and infallibly. As soon as he finished speaking, an extremely expressive expression appeared on his face. The scene was immediately silent. Dropping a needle can also be heard clearly. Ningha quickly sensed the image. Hold a pen and write down the clues. Weird, but I see you're not a witch. But you're a witch. You have a lady with a pointed hat. I think she's your ancestor. Ms. Mo Mu affirmed that Chow Mendoza was born in a family with a tradition of witchcraft. His ancestors were witches. How did she know? She can see it. It was also said that there was a woman with a pointed hat who didn't want him to inherit martial arts because fate had destined him to be a monk. I see you wearing the clothes of a clergy. That's why you have that necklace. She even said she saw mine. As soon as this sentence was spoken, Chow Mendoza was immediately extremely embarrassed. It feels like being stripped and blanched. In fact, he was indeed studying the scriptures. I see that in your life, there are a lot of documents. Perhaps there are scholars or people in the academic world at home. So I used her hands to make a bachelor's hat. Chow Mendoza candidly said that his father had a doctorate. Soha immediately showed a disgruntled expression and said frankly that Chow Mendoza is indeed a family with traditions. Chow Mendoza also explained that his grandfather and great-grandfather were both Confucian scholars. After obtaining his doctorate, he became a university professor. Next, Ha saw something like a needle, like the tradition of traditional medicine, confirming that he was learning about the field. That's right. Soha took out the command flag again, saying that he had made 3 mistakes when he was 20 years old. Chow Mendoza still didn't remember. 3 questions he answered wrong, 3 answers wrong. 3 wrong questions in college exams. Korean, English, and math are wrong in 1 sentence each. Soha was still by his side to remind him, telling him to remember it carefully. You're both smart and handsome. Sorry, I don't see your future audience. It feels like you've never been in love. He said that he was looking at fate, but his expression was like telling him how to attract his daughter's attention. Soha's talent for talking like a silent gun has received praise from the whole studio. My partner is 5 years older than me, but she falls in love with me like a cigarette. Then enter the part of decoding the afflictions. Chow Mendoza was straightforward. He tried to live and die to become a witch. It's all because of my sister. The 57-year-old sister suffers from schizophrenia. My mother also carried the disease in her body. He didn't want to be teased by fate. Now my sister is much better off, but has not yet found a stable job. The biggest obsession and worry in his heart is his sister. As soon as he finished speaking, Ha filthed the flag and ordered Nam Phuong to make a mistake. Schizophrenia has long since been cured. It's all gone. So why hasn't she gone to work yet? Chow Mendoza explained. My sister has been sick for too long. It is very difficult to adapt to society immediately. Her self-esteem is too high. I don't see her having any intention of wanting to join the company. So I advised him to make more money. Open a shop for your sister. That's the best way. She doesn't need to do anything to earn money later. I think it's because my father gave her pocket money. That's why that damn girl didn't go to work. And poked directly at the weak point. If people are too relaxed, they won't want to work. This model must be cut off. This statement astonished the whole studio. Now I can't help you. But please don't worry. She suddenly became very polite. She suddenly switched roles. Soha's attack is over. Next is the turn of Soha to defend. Ha Mendoza, just ask a few simple questions. At that time, it was half lost. I've never seen the fate of a witch. I'm afraid of ruining the story. The next second, a general voice rang out. Ha Mendoza's expression immediately changed. The first thing I felt was that my 57-year-old friend had met a ghost. She started seeing things from that moment on. What? No way. He said Soha became a witch after 3 or 4 years. And the reason for becoming a witch is to survive. The goddess said that if my beloved Soha continues to live as before until she is 37 years old, her heart will not be able to bear it. So in order for him to live, I let him become a witch. This sentence startled Soha. This was how she had felt so far. When Mendoza said them, she was terrified. Hi Mendoza also said that the number is 37 years old, which completely coincides with the thoughts in her heart. Her worries, 37 years old. She was worried when she turned 37. After that, Ningha spoke out about her fears. Legend has it that the witch at the age of 7 all met with great tribulation. In those years, she has indeed gone through many hardships, and her close friends next to her have all taken care of themselves. She also said that she had an illusion at the age of 27, the real bad thing had been fulfilled. After listening to her words, the whole thing fell into silence. This experience also touched the hearts of many people. This witchcraft hides too many secrets that no one knows. Ningha said she just wanted to protect the people around her, protect her family. Therefore, I am very afraid that someone will die, leaving me. So when I was about to turn 37, the bell rang again. Hello Mendoza said that he came here to pass on a sentence to her. Your family will be very safe. The ancestral god said that he would protect them. Hearing this, the stone in Ningha's heart was finally put down. The decoding of Hello Mendoza is here, and that's the end. The two of them were of equal strength. Messengers of destiny also have difficulties. Who will you choose? It's too hard, it's too hard. What should I do? Based on the flow of gas. This is a confrontation of gas. Yes, after a moment of confusion, he voted. The confrontation of gases. The winner of the confrontation is. The next one is Ningha. Part Na J feels many parts of Ningha's decoding. The Book of Destiny does not record it all, but every sentence hits the truth in more detail than Hello Mendoza. This was followed by a confrontation filled with the smell of gunpowder. Xiao Wu Bai and Ji Hyundiang. Who will succeed in moving on? This is a confrontation between spiritual masters. Ji Hyundiang orderly arranged the magic weapons he brought. Ji Hyundiang has been prepared. That's right. He had already made up his mind. In contrast, Xiao Wu Bai's magic weapon is simple. The order of a sharp hat is a few coins and a bell. In terms of their experience in the spiritual world, Xiao Wu Bai is only 5 years old, and Ji Hyundiang started practicing at the age of 5. Up to now, it has 13 years of experience. The first round of attack was launched by Ji Hyundiang. This is a confrontation of gas. Can she withstand my chi? Because I was confident that I could withstand his chi. Xiao Wu Bai is obviously not stressed at all. Free to use. My godmother always told me, in the end, I will definitely beat the best. I'm going to beat you. Before it started, the atmosphere was tense to the extreme. After that, Ji Hyundiang turned on the fan, vibrated it, and started singing. His voice changed. Oh my god, I'm terrified. I am crazy. He sounds like an old woman. But Xiao Wu Bai looks very calm. First of all, what I want to say is that you are very lonely. Notice, Ji Hyundiang said this with a mocking expression. She was very lonely. A few simple words poked Xiao Wu Bai's pain. For some reason, she longed to be cared for. She is a person with very high self-esteem. She could tell thousands of people that she was very lonely. Ji Hyundiang said she had never trusted anyone. I also don't like to actively help others. If someone breaks up, she will also categorically refuse. Although Xiao Wu Bai did not change her face. But at this time, the inner wave fell into a big wave. Ji Hyundiang continued to say that she had suffered, and her family also had problems. 16 to 17 years old, parents divorced, father abused the family. But she has always considered her family more important than herself. So the nature is not strong. She has to make herself stronger. This is also a way for her to protect herself. Legend has it that all priests suffer. His heart was full of resentment and dissatisfaction. But Xiao Wu Bai lives harder than others. Ji Hyundiang said that the current situation has improved slightly, but she still wandered around like a lost soul. Even when eating and sleeping, they are restless. The thing in her breasts, her left breast, her left breast, her left breast. She walked this path to becoming a witch because she felt the resurrection. He pointed out that Xiao Wu Bai's life so far has not been smooth, but the benefit of taking this path is that her spirit saved her. They were her hope. At this time, Xiao Wu Bai nodded continuously. It was obvious that she was also surprised by Ji Hyundiang. He was right. It was true. She had a strong ancestral god. So there's no need to worry about her future. I'm just talking about this. Ji Hyundiang's performance clearly amazed everyone. Obviously, an 18-year-old can't say these words. It's unbelievable. But at this time, Xiao Wu Bai still looks calm. Everything is not shown on the face. Just like a cobra ready to counterattack at any time. Xiao Wu Bai is just starting to unravel. She once again performed the disguising technique. The child, the young age, has become a priest. Very hard, isn't it? The first question I want to ask you is, your life is not easy, is it? She pointed out that Ji Hyundiong pretended that nothing happened. But in his heart, he was afraid and trembling. Between the two seemed to have a similar fate. At this time, there was also the atmosphere of a big battle. She questioned Ji Hyundiong if she was so shy. So why sit here as a shaman? Oh my god, it seems that your family is forever shaman. Yes, he came from a family of shamans. I got goosebumps. Both parents are shamans. Soon after, Xiao Wu Bai began to sort out the history. The divine spirit had followed him since he was born. But his destiny took a big turn at the age of 5. In 2012, at the age of 5, it was called the child possessed by demons. After listening to Xiao Wu Bai's explanation, Ji Hyundiong's expression became extremely serious. Apparently what Xiao Wu Bai said also touched his insides. So nervous, she must have been entered, so she said that. Xiao Wu Bai continued to say that if he hadn't become a shaman, something big might have really happened by now. He walked around in front of the door of death. He did so to survive. She said Ji Hyundiong's destiny had changed. He had no other choice. Therefore, it is only possible to step on the spiritual path. And pointed out that he used to get angry because he didn't want to be a shaman. But he had no other choice. From then on, his life became chaotic. Now he was finally stable. Okay, 18-year-old guy. This lady can only tell you so much. He couldn't get rid of all this. Did he squeeze him to death? That's right. Xiao Wu Bai asked him why he has so many afflictions, or is it because he is too young to have a way to control his emotions? Xiao Wu Bai hit him on the back with his stick with a strong pretense. He refused to let go, always making things worse. It seemed that he was destined to pretend to be strong. Point out that in love, he always pretends that nothing happens and that something will always happen. This is his destiny and tells Ji Hyundiong to learn to accept. Here it says he can't make friends. In 2012, at the age of 14, she did not get along with her classmates. I have to speak my mind. My grandmother taught me to respect others and to use the scriptures. He advises Xiao Wu Bai to see his destiny first and then see it for others. Before criticizing others, take a look at yourself. At this time, the atmosphere was obviously even more tense. Ji Hyundiong deployed a powerful counterattack. Later, Xiao Wu Bai also explained that she said this was her interpretation. It was just the old woman's words. At this time, the interpretation was over. The MC interrupted them. Although Xiao Wu Bai always keeps a cold face like money, when Ji Hyundiong mentioned the opposite, Xiao Wu Bai clearly opened up. Obviously, even the Book of Destiny did not record this. Ah, my opposite used to have a tumor. Really? Where is it recorded? In the first confrontation, Ji Hyundiong seemed to overwhelm her a little. And Ji Hyundiong also mentioned family issues. When Park Na-rae mentioned this, Xiao Wu Bai was clearly sinking into sadness. My mother was very gentle, but my father was overprotective of me. Damn, today is his pitting day. She, who has always been strong, couldn't hold back anymore and burst into tears in front of everyone. She said that her adult environment was not rich, her father was very addicted, and she could even use the word addiction based on life to visualize. And also overly interfering in their lives. For them, there's a strong possession. This love will sometimes turn into bigotry and violence. As a child, she mistakenly thought it was love, but her original family changed her whole life. Although she hated her father, she missed him very much. Perhaps this was a childhood that she would never forget. Seeing this scene, everyone burst into tears. Yes, under the strong appearance is a fragile heart. It was worse before. I thought I wasn't strong enough. Even when she cried now, she hoped to bring a smile. Pretending to be strong, she was actually not strong. This is probably also the current situation for many people today. The frivolous society has taught us how to disguise ourselves, to hide our souls that really need comfort. Xiao Ubi recognizes Gehindi Ong's advice. She has to learn to be strong. After all, as a single mother, she has to raise her daughter. At this time, the judges switched the subject to Gehindi Ong. As Xiao Ubi said, he was hit by a truck at the age of 4, indeed walking around in front of the door of death. Fortunately, he was unharmed. To this day, his mother still keeps those sneakers. Speaking of this, everyone's tears once again flowed. I think the suffering I endured was to motivate me to become a shaman. He said that although he resisted, his mother also performed a ceremony for him to prevent him from becoming a priest. But at that time, he was too young, and he really didn't remember very well. But more accidents occurred, and the situation worsened. I know how hard this road is. He vaguely remembered that when he was 5 years old, he touched the ears of boiled pigs with his hands. The pig's ears were like being cut in half by a knife. Perhaps he already possessed the divine power at that time, but he could only accept it reluctantly. Maybe this is the destiny that Co Ubi is talking about. On the other hand, Co Ubi could never escape her sadness. So the MC asked again, it is impossible to throw away the shoes of a 4-year-old child. I'm also a mother, so I understand her mood very well. She said her daughter still didn't know she was a witch. Seeing Co Ubi crying, Ji Hyun-young said her daughter was very obedient, beautiful, just like her mother, very understanding, and always able to predict things. In a few years, she will know her mother's hard work because she is very observant. Hearing these words, Co Ubi burst into tears again. It was clear that she had a deep remorse for her daughter. To reduce stress, Ji Hyun-young said that so far he has not been in the congregation table because he calculates too much every day, and his mind is no longer clear. His words made everyone laugh. Will my daughter also become a witch? No, that's good. Ji Hyun-young said that the heavens would grant each person different abilities who would eventually be able to shine in their own field. So don't blindly force it. Find a bright spot, let it shine. But as a mother, she is very strong. Yes, I just want to hear this. Buddha said, people are all lonely. We are born lonely. Family, children, and friends cannot be brought with them when they die. Maybe the gods will gather everyone. The sentence that everyone is lonely makes everyone sink into thought. So Ubi also left his advice. She said Ji Hyun-young had to give up some things because this was the fate of people like them and hoped he could make 2 good friends. A gunpowder-scented confrontation eventually turns into a tear-inspiring tale. Life is certainly not perfect, but you can choose to fill in the gaps. The next moment is the time to announce the list of people who go on. Co Ubi and Ji Hyun-young implicitly understand each other's intentions to choose each other. The confrontation overgasses. The winner of the one head-to-head was Ji Hyun-young. The next one solo match was the competition of my Haduzong and Seogwon. The first round of attack was launched by my Haduzong. Zhong just rang out, gold and silver filled the house. He was laughing. This smile was indeed not the same as his usual state. The gods have arrived, and I have a chicken. She has the 4 pillars of a lonely person. He said Seogwon was like a lonely tree on the top of a mountain. This also shows that she has shouldered a huge burden. It is also because carrying too much will often make her turn into a perfectionist. The people who work with her or those around her won't stay with her for too long. Every 5 or 7 years they would leave her. That's right, she got divorced after 5 years. That's right, he said that if she did physical work, there would be scandals and accidents. Therefore, it is absolutely not suitable for this job. His portrayal was clearly a hit. Perhaps this is the reason she gave up sports. Seogwon was also surprised by his interpretation. It turns out that before becoming a witch, from elementary school to college, she was an archer and also achieved not bad achievements. But in the end, because of a torn shoulder tendon, he had to retire. From then on, she walked up the witch's path in tears. This is what my godmother said. At this time, everyone was holding their breath, wanting to hear what he would say in the end. There are always men beside her, or they can approach her affectionately, but they will often be strict, will be constantly challenged. His explanation is still correct. Seogwon said that every time she meets a man, she has a problem, and the goddess will also constantly challenge them. If she can't control her heart and thoughts, the efforts and enthusiasm she puts in will go up in smoke. Remember, this will benefit her. After listening to the last advice, my Ha Swing stream ended the interpretation. Seogwon also explained to everyone that she thinks that all female witches have a very bad love life. Then she said she wanted to ask a very embarrassing question. She said she was already 40 years old and had been tested by the gods. Currently dating a man, but he thinks he probably can't have children. Now he is extremely longing inside. Even if he is not married all his life, he wants to have a child of his own. It's okay to have fun with you. As a witch, I have such worries. Knowing your destiny in advance is indeed a worrying thing. And her question, just now, also really came from the bottom of her heart. Although saying these words is very sorry for her, the child will be very heavy in the future. Andy, what does that mean? If she goes against the 4 pillars to become a mother, my Hadu Tuong thinks that if it goes against this destiny, the burden will be too heavy. He meant that the child would inherit the witch's bloodline. So, as a mother, she will have to shoulder too much. To change this destiny, you may have to live very hard. If everything goes well, the child will become famous. If it is not smooth, the baby will not be able to fly high. If she receives a blessing, the child is born smoothly. She must cling to her godmother. His words also reassured Sorgan. He used subtle interpretation to conquer people, and also used the warmest words to tell the most devastating truth. Next, it was the turn of the witch Sorgan to launch an attack. Oh my gosh, she's having convulsions. Sorgan entered a vague state. His honest eyes made people see it, and the hair on the back of his neck. The following are the words of my god, my Ha Swing. My grandparents said he was extremely pure. Your godmother has protected you so well that my gods can't see through you. My godmother said, Son, you have suffered enough for the sake of the gods. You are very sad and also very hard, right? Sigor's speech speed was obviously faster, which was clearly not her usual way of speaking. She said that he was born destined to be a witch, and from the age of 3, he began to feel the resilience. In 2002, at the age of 3, he played and talked to ghosts. Sogin said when he was in high school, his family seemed to have some difficulties. The gods, when he was 18 years old, gave him hardships, and he began to communicate with them from that moment on. In 2016, at the age of 18, he began communicating with spirits. Maha Swing said that when he was 18 years old, his grandmother died, and the witch power passed down by his grandmother hit him like a flood. Sorgan pointed out the exact time. It is clear that this point is even more detailed, and the description is also completely accurate. In the year before or after he became a witch, did anyone die? Maihadu Duong said that at that time his aunt also died. Sorgan said that when he received the gods, there were many signs of death, otherwise there would be accidents in his life. So his current task is to pray for those who have been soothed and comfort them. I sense that someone on your father's side was sick. Is your father sick? In 2016, at the age of 18, he performed a ceremony to lift the curse of death for his father. The answer was also correct. He said that his uncles and uncles were all sick. Sorgan believes that they did not die young, but died tragically. According to the background investigation, his elders apart from the eldest uncle, the others did not live more than 50 years old. He couldn't help but admire Sogan's strength. At this time, Sogan's face was flushed, and his pupils were frighteningly black. It was obvious that she had put her whole mind into this challenge. The witch was like reading a book, page by page, talking about his house. What I was worried about was that after I became a witch, that is, in 2022 and then in 2023, within that 1 year, I had 7 friends die. It is said that when the curse hits, he soon knows his friends will die. In October 2022, in Itaewon, there was a horrific accident. He had 3 friends who died there. And that day, his friends actually invited him as well, but his godmother shouted not to go, so he stayed in the mountain to pray. After praying, I returned to the temple and saw 3 of my friends standing at the door with intact bodies. As soon as I entered the temple, he called me to close the bowl of offering, blow out the candles, use the incense of the river to purify my body, and close the big door tightly. He said that he even made a grass rope hanging from the door that night. The god said that even if friends die, they're just ghosts, so they need to help them leave, otherwise they will continue to come back. So he untied the knot so that they could continue to move forward. Life inevitably some bad things happen, like the death of relatives and friends early, and such things will continue to happen. He hopes Sogan can give a good piece of advice. Although I haven't been a witch for a long time, Sogan said that she has been without parents since she was a child, living on her younger brother. But when she was in the 12th grade, her brother died. From then on, her witch's illness worsened, so it was also impossible to complete her studies at the sports university. Obviously, she has the same fate as my Hadu Duong. We are constantly facing death. This seems to be the fate of witches. Sogan thinks that death should be viewed rationally. Even relatives next to them can be lost one after another, and their task is to bless, hoping that all calamities will be avoided. At the end of the answer, the judges were amazed by Sogan's change in status. So she replied, My nickname is Rapper Sogan. Once I am typed, it will be faster to speak. Your grandfather is like this and that, so now you are in business, just like that. This is also her usual style of interpretation. She will speak quickly once first, and then explain slowly. It was obvious that the strength of both of them was equal, but Sogan had said more details. Then, as the next move was announced, Ms. Sogan won. Jun Daeman used to be a traditional Korean musician. He used ancient melodies to bless all things and happened to become a shaman. The first round was launched by the Northern Samans. As a shaman, if you don't believe that your god is the best, you can't take on this job. Taeong Hoa Sindang is very good. She has a champion temperament. She first opened 2 fans which amazed everyone. Her fan was very special. Immediately the bell rang. The silver reverberation filled the house. The first thing my goddess said was, I'm going to tell you the truth, hoping you won't feel offended. The witch said he didn't see his parents in his life, but was raised by his one-handed grandmother and pointed out that he had a grandmother who worshipped the gods, just like their shamans. His grandmother took care of him because his father had to work. Yes, he was raised by his grandmother. His great-grandmother was a witch. Afterwards, the wizard waved the flag and said that Junmin was very gentle. This gentleness was deeply ingrained in his soul. But the only thing that was not good was that he was easily angry. His spirit was hot. Maybe he was smiling the first second, and the next second he was able to turn his face away immediately. The witch complained very frankly, causing the other contestants on the stage to laugh out loud. You're such a person. I said I know divination and tarot cards, right? Her words amazed the judges, who in turn said that she really knew many things. Only to see the witch take out the tarot deck she was carrying with her, closing her eyes in mistake. His hands began to draw cards, and then he also drew many cards in the swing tube. The witch pointed out another identity of Zunderman as a singer. Obviously, the contestants don't know each other, and announced that things would be better in the second half of the year. But the witch saw his only regret. I see that someone dies, his family will have someone die. There was no doubt that the witch once again said them. She said the situation this year will be very bad. They will pass away next year. The combination of joints and hands also made people's eyes light up, crying out that she knew a lot of tricks. She is multi-talented and multi-skilled. She uses all kinds of tools to divinate for me. I find it very interesting. She knows tarot cards and fortune-telling. Don't worry, I think from this year onwards, you'll get better and better. He also had the opportunity to travel abroad. She said Zunderman not only travels as a shaman, but also travels as a singer. Zunderman later explained that he had grown up in a poor environment since childhood, and that he had endured everything. Since childhood, I've been living with my grandmother, and at that time, I even ate spoiled food. Through his efforts, he poured into an art high school, but had to drop out of school because he couldn't afford tuition. His father worked at the construction site, but because of an accident that led to a fracture of the spine, leaving the sequelae of severe disability. In order to take care of his father, he also had to quit school from high school. He said that the teacher at that time was very mean, often compiled a list of students who did not pay for lunch, and even read aloud in front of everyone. So he was also nicknamed the lucky man by others, causing his self-esteem to be seriously damaged. At that moment, I felt like the world was falling apart. At that time, I had given up traditional music. Here, everyone has a sad story. Zunderman held back his tears and said, I can only work part-time in the future. One day, a friend called, saying that he was studying under a great master. When he arrived, the Grand Master was satisfied with him when he looked at it. From then on, his life began to change. This is also the so-called benevolent gentleman. He regularly participates in a number of competitions and has won many gold prizes and prize money. As a thank you, he gave the entire prize money to the master. Zunderman said his job was unstable, so he was worried that he would fall into poverty again, just because he's really afraid of poverty. But do you know, I'm a very blessed person I love. After hearing his story, the witch's tone also became more respectful. She said that Zunderman was always healed. Without the help of the gods, he absolutely couldn't do it. Of course, there's also his own efforts. Stay energized, keep going. After hearing the wizard's explanation, Zunderman's heart was even more hopeful. He once again expressed his gratitude to the nobleman in his life. Gratitude is the most precious honesty of human beings. The next moment, Zunderman asked for the witch's name. My name is Li Min Zhong. Li Min sound. The singing rang out, and everyone felt the change. Meanwhile, his voice had changed. The way he sings is not like he is summoning, but like chanting. I was startled. He sounded very beneficial. The following is my ancestor's opinion about her. She is very lonely. She can't be with just one husband. Zunderman began to solve the puzzle by singing. He said witches would eventually shed tears for men. In 2003, at the age of 36, divorced after 7 years of marriage. The witch at the age of 20 was lost, wandering everywhere. There are a lot of flashy people around. Before she became a witch, there were many skills and talents. Whether it's art or music, just a little push can make a big difference. But she felt that there was no one to help her at that time. Oh my God. She used to know how to dance, she was a dancer. Zunderman said her economic situation is not bad, but relationships are chaotic. He said that witches are absolutely not allowed to lend money to others, just because many people around her are looking at her money. She lent money easily, but it was difficult to ask for it back. Before becoming a witch, she must have had her own career, right? She will not work under the influence of others. He said she may have sold drinks of all kinds, having been an excellent salesperson. This point was indeed pointed out correctly by him. She used to open a Japanese-style cafe and bar. Later, Zunderman pointed out the bottom line, but after the age of 40, she suffered a lot. The downhill business does not break. For her finances, it was the worst period. 39 years old, the business bar closed for 2 years, losing all the deposits. He thinks her family carries a curse. The source is located in the family's graveyard. Surely there were people dying in a row. Her parents. His father died in 2024, and his mother died in 2025. No need to compare. He's already said it all. At this time, Zunderman finished the interpretation, also receiving warm applause from the whole auditorium. Apparently his answer could go more straight to the point. He answered so many questions correctly, I couldn't understand. The confrontation scene between the two was like the confrontation between the white tiger and the dragon fruit. Watching the two face off reminded me of the movie The Hidden Dragon Family, like two martial arts masters fighting swords. The witch said that when Zunderman mentioned the death of a relative in a row, she was all married. She lost a relative this year, and she also lost her father last year. My father died at the age of 100, but my mother died last week of illness. When MC mentions the age of 20, there are flashy people around. The impolite witch said that it was herself, which also brought a happy atmosphere to this confrontation. I went to the nightclub to dance. In college, she began to see some things. Every time she goes to a nightclub, the lights and music always make her fall into a state of ambiguity. She liked that feeling, too, having been immersed in a nightclub for 2 years. The next moment, the next person was announced. The winner of the one-on-one duel was Zunderman. The next pair of confrontations are Taro's expert Lee Guk-ju and true General Guard Kim Baek-bun, which promises to be a true East-West magical confrontation. Lee Guk-ju is a monument in the Korean entertainment industry, having participated in Running Man and 39 other training programs. Her opponent is Kim Baek-bun, an experienced martial arts master, inheriting the traditional Chinese culture of martial arts, which can be said to be 100 battles and 100 wins. Wait, will Lee Guk-ju show him his legs? Of course I have to show it. Without waiting for the judges to stop being surprised, Lee Guk-ju couldn't wait to burst into laughter. Haha, what is this? She even excitedly asked Kim Baek-bun which leg he wanted to see. Do I have to see both legs? He replied, you have to look at both legs to see the general of the legs, right? Hearing the laughter of the whole auditorium, Lee Guk-ju said that 4 hours ago, she also applied blanket lip balm to the soles of her feet. I heard you used up both lip balms. Yes, but I left them in the dressing room. She said with an innocent expression, don't let anyone smear your mouth. At this time, the judges hung up again, saying that Lee Guk-ju's feat would be broadcast in 150 countries. Next, Kim Baek-bun struck first, only to see him slowly take out the time glasses and bring them close to Lee Guk-ju's leg. He said that there are number 2 people in the world with identical feet. If you don't look closely, the image will not appear. Seeing a contest like this for the first time, Kim Baek-bun first complimented her beautiful legs. Although the soles of her feet have calluses, on the contrary, they should be proud of it, because these are all the results of her hard work. Her feet are bent backwards, which indicates that her legs are very itchy with a desire to travel. Her second toe is the largest, also the longest, which shows that your mother is very influential. It turns out that Lee Guk-ju's mother is the deacon of the church, and her personality is especially strong. The second toe also represents honor, so you are a very strong leader. Her second toe is especially long, so she is very good at uniting people and also takes great care of her juniors. As long as she speaks up, everyone will follow her. Kim Baek-bun thinks that she has an open heart, and her friends like her very much. That's right. She's always very caring for juniors. She's very good. And her heels are also very beautiful. He also pointed out directly that she intends to invest in real estate, which will definitely make a lot of money in the future. She has a building. Yes, house prices are going to go up. Kim Baek-bun's solution made everyone itch. Everyone wants to take off the paper and show it to him on the spot. I also want him to see my feet. It's magical. Now I will explain your 4 pillars in detail. He said Lee Guk-ju had a change in his work from last year to this year that involved many paperwork. Documents are not only certificates of land use rights or houses, but are likely to be contracts. In her heart, she especially wanted to be able to sign it successfully, and everyone was dim. She signed a contract with a new management company in February or March of this year. She probably signed at that time, or almost did. He was right, so she and her management company had signed a 10-year contract, which would expire in March this year, and were worried about a new contract. So far, he has not signed with a new company. This time he is also alone in recording the program. Kim Baek-moon's explanation of changing her papers was very accurate, saying they were a big thing in her life right now. Even the judges didn't know that she was fighting alone. Guk-ju didn't show it at all. But I don't feel pressure, but I am working with the vitality of my 20s. I feel that my mood is indeed better, no longer bound by the contract. For her, the opposite is a good thing. The next moment, Lee Guk-ju stuck out his tongue, stared at the tarot card, stared at Kim Baek-moon, wanting to see through him. See how attractive you are to women. Draw a card about your childhood. She told Kim Baek-moon that she was wrong for her age and drew 3 cards corresponding to different stages of her life. When he was in his teens, he wanted to fall in love, but didn't know how. After the age of 20, the relationship has progressed. At the age of 30, on the contrary, it is not women who actively approach him, but he himself longs for love and actively pursues it. She said that Kim Baek-moon, in order to be loved, also took the initiative to make new friends. Kim Baek-moon nodded and admitted that at the age of 30, he had indeed actively pursued love. The decisive match was born from the winner of the one-on-one match was Kim Baek-moon. Thank you very much, Kim Beck-moon won the indisputable victory. The final one-on-one challenge was started by Lee Seo-bin and tarot expert Ari. Lee Seo-bin's interpretation is also what everyone is looking forward to. Just because she became a magician from the age of 5 to 7, so far, she has 19 years of experience in the profession. But facing the tarot expert, Lee Seo-bin is still not full of confidence. I'm always smiling, but when I start to unravel, I'm not going to be so gentle anymore. Seeing her show a bitter expression, she immediately sank into thought. The scene just now made everyone feel angry. At the same time, the judges also began to talk about it. They thought that Ari was also frighteningly strong. I'm a spiritual tarot expert, Ari said, so I can also see, hear, feel. The result must be known in the end. Of course, her uncaring cuteness was probably all fake. After the draw was completed, Lee Seo-bin struck first. Saying that, Lee Seo-bin opened the fan, and the bell rang. The handmade fan in her hand also made everyone admire. Ari, yes, why you live in Korea? Why do you say that? She asks if Ari shouldn't be in Korea, and pointed out that she had a home in another country. Moreover, she was working in another country. It turns out that Ari, at the age of 10, immigrated with her family to the United States. 15 years ago, she returned to Korea to look for opportunities. At this time, Lee Seo-bin said again, she looked innocent, happy, and beautiful. But Ari is actually a very serious person. I heard that she was very intelligent. She was also very serious. Apparently, she also has a disguised face. At this time, Lee Seo-bin said that she's not like someone who only does one job. It turns out that Ari also has his own company. This is not actually my main job. I think this is like a left that can make a lot of money. Lee Seo-bin continued to say she should have 2 names. You have 2 names, but eventually there will be 3. So good, why? She answered correctly, really? Regarding this point of the name, the jury was once again amazed. Because the investigation document does not mention 3 names. Lee Seo-bin said that in the past 3 to 4 years, she has changed a lot. Although people will be jealous, it's all because they appreciate Ari very much. Recognized by many people, they are jealous for a reason. That's right, just think about it. She told Ari not to take it to heart. It seems that her beauty has attracted envy. Just enjoy the present. Who cares about other people's words? Ari then also explained that she said that in the past 3 years, she has always tried to change, because she has been suffering from social symptoms for more than 1 year. But now it has passed the most difficult period. Lee Seo-bin's words brought her a lot of empathy. Regarding the 3 names, Ari also gave an answer. She has 1 Korean name, 1 Korean stage name, and finally 1 English name. If Lee Seo-bin said directly that she has 3 names, it probably wouldn't surprise people. But Lee Seo-bin first said she had 2 names, then added 1. This cannot help but make people admire. The name Ari was given specifically to participate in the show. At this time, she put forward her worries. Just now, Jungman mentioned it on stage. I hope you will marry a Korean. And her deceased grandmother also told her to get to know foreigners. The more this happened, the more her heart resisted. This was also the problem she wanted to know the most. As I said, I see your home abroad, but I can use my money to buy a house. But getting to know foreigners will be much lighter. If you don't listen, then why ask the magician? But I like Korean men, you should be with 1 bohemian. You even have to have a strawberry with a hat strap. It is best to take out 1 wrinkle of the photo. If you know how to pull the violin, the better. Their conversation made the whole audience laugh. Seeing this, Lee Seo-bin could only tell her to follow nature. Next is Arizadon's turn. So what special solution will she give? She said that when she knows the name of a person, a few things will often appear in front of her eyes. Therefore, it will not be possible to wait to say it. Let me ask you one thing. See if my frequency is correct? She asked carefully. When Lee Seo-bin became a magician, he had also felt the spiritual energy since then. That's right, at that time Lee Seo-bin had abnormal behaviors. It really started when she was 3 years old. Ari says her relationship with her mother doesn't seem to be very good. This problem surprised Lee Seo-bin so much that he asked 3 questions at once. Oh, really? Doesn't my mother love me? Does my mother hate me? Ari says they get along very well, but in terms of emotional connection, it doesn't seem normal. She thinks that this topic is very sensitive, but somehow it is associated with the word sacrifice. At this time, the judges said that it was true. So the judges asked questions about the mother-daughter relationship. My mother and I are very close, Lee Seo-bin said. Then he seemed to think of something. Tears could not be held back and flowed. Why are you crying? My only friends are my parents. It was clear that Lee Seo-bin was very lonely. They don't get along. My mother's family has a very strong god, and so does my father's family. My main ancestral god was my grandmother, so we had conflicts. So when you mention this, I'm really surprised. As for the sacrifice that Ari said, she also felt that it was reasonable in some ways. First of all, I dedicated myself to the gods. She started at a young age, almost never living the life of an ordinary person. He had no friends of the same age, had never gone to school, nor had he ever participated in extracurricular lessons. As a family of shamans, Lee Sobin had no childhood. This is probably what she longs to change the most in her heart. She has to comply with all strict regulations, so, to speak, this is a sacrifice. Regarding helping her parents pay off debts, she also explained. Previously, her parents were punished for organizing a ritual that prevented her from becoming a magician. So they had to pay a very high cost of the ceremony, costing billions of yuan. If it is said to be a sacrifice, it is also her parents who sacrificed for her. In those years, they spent a lot of effort and money, and in the end it was impossible not to choose. Imagine how painful my parents' hearts were at that time. Her words won the sympathy of magicians who had the same experience on stage. Walking on this path is probably their fate. No one doesn't want to have a full childhood. The winner of the one-on-one duel was Lee Sobin. The final confrontation has ended. The above 10 people have successfully moved on. The next round will be the team round. Magicians from many different fields are used to fighting alone on a daily basis. This is probably also the first time to experience the power of a teammate. They will be divided into a team of 3, forming 4 teams. Then 10 people are definitely not enough. So the organizers started the revival round. After the judges discussed, Prince Maihoa and Co Wubin finally succeeded in reviving. The Korean version of the spiritual war has entered the team round. The 12 psychics will be divided into 4 fronts. In turn, they are Ton Dragon, White Tiger, Huinvu, and Uncle Talk. This round has a total of 2 entries, which will eliminate 6 psychics to enter the semifinals. First, the contestants will randomly team up. They can decide for themselves who will be their teammates. The next moment, the crowd was filled with praise. They all want to find a strong teammate. Come here and join us. Come here, welcome. Only Dwayne was confused. He thinks that he is introverted, not good at communicating with others. So he walked alone towards the White Tiger's room. At the same time, Co Ubi also walked towards him. Obviously, she didn't have a right choice either. But this Anza couple is on the same team, which is really hard to believe. What? Dwayne and Co Ubi as a team. I don't want to be on the same team as Co Ubi. She was my opponent after all. Boy, are you okay? Are you crying? Recall the scenes that happened. Dwayne's heart was extremely deceitful. Life is not peaceful. Life can be revived. He saw that no one chose the last leg general. He could only go to the White Tiger side. After all, he is old, and the biggest role is to control the situation. The next moment, the team formation was complete. The first challenge, 4 teams only had 1 team to move on. The second challenge, 3 teams only have 1 team to move on. For any of them, these are probably the last 2 challenges. The first challenge, they will find millionaires. 11 people carrying suitcases, including 5 people with assets of over 10 billion. Psychics need to interpret their lives. Find out these 5 millionaires. After knowing the content of the challenge, everyone spoke very confidently. One after another expressed their determination to win. I don't have a strategy, not one. I will do it my way, believing only in my gods. If they think their answer is correct, they can go to the well and ring the bell. If the moon appears in the well, it means that the answer is correct. Prince Maihoa of the mysterious dance team took out the flower card directly to divinate. He said that divination was the forte of his god-grandmother. Grandma has arrived. Grandmother has arrived. I used a circle to represent feeding and a black part to represent the soil. Money fell from the sky. My god-grandmother said, "Qua, that means yes." Very quickly, he chose the number 8 to keep the room. At this time, Sogan also had a touch. She couldn't control herself and began to use herself to receive some kind of magical power. Oh my god, it's been imported. The number 5 quickly caught their sights. The complex coordinates with each other, clearly assigned. Mr. Minglai said that there was no problem with number 5 and said that her life had gone through many ups and downs. But she changed the course of her life. So he got a huge fortune. In order to get a more accurate clue, Sogan leaned over again, rolling his eyes. She thinks that number 5 is a person who likes to give others advice, just like the consulting profession. The thoughts of the 3 people were almost identical. At the same time, the squad was also speculating. I'm very confident. A lot of rich people and businessmen came to me to speculate. When I see rich people, I see that they are piled up next to them with coins, piles of money. He confidently said that whatever his grandmother said, he was right. And the red and white chess pieces he drew also represented affirmation. So I wrote down all the goals in the notebook. The Taro's expert in the team is also quickly withdrawing. The results of the 3 were surprisingly similar. This is something they didn't expect. They identified 4 people in one go. The chemistry made the judges also gasp. First of all, the number 8 is definitely very rich. And girl, no. 5 earns a set of real estate memories. At this time, the Taro's expert also offers his card. Everyone was amazed by the terrifying magic. There is no doubt about it. The face of the card also shows real estate. The other side of the dragon fruit team seemed to be confused again. Siha went directly to the stage to see each person's face. She says just looking into their eyes can interpret their energy more accurately. Very quickly, the number 4 was identified as the target object. She has a lot of money, strong finances. At this time, Lee Seo-bin fell into confusion again. She drew the 5-colored flag several times, giving a negative answer. She thinks the number 6 could be the target, but others aren't so sure. The opinions of the 3 quickly split. The number 9 that Lee Seo-bin proposed, Siha also denied. Logically speaking, this situation shouldn't have happened. But I can't communicate with the gods. I was very nervous. My spirit has a trait. It was the day I didn't understand why I wanted to know how much money other people had. So my grandmother wouldn't tell me. There is no doubt that Lee Seo-bin is also unsure of his answer. The 3 of them once again fell into a state of silence. But Siha didn't give up. She continued to draw the 5-color flag to find the answer. Very quickly, the number 8 was on her radar. The Taro's expert still gave a confirmed answer. But it was Lee Seo-bin's turn to confirm. She didn't get any useful clues. He could only immediately send the death god away. At this time, the White Tiger team was also looking at each other barefoot. The atmosphere over there was too tense. It's about to freeze. Yes, I want to hide too much. After rebuilding her mentality, Jiseen picked up the bell and forced herself to work. God, I pray to you sincerely. You have to find out who has 100 billion won. Grandpa, please tell me the answer. He said, I could see the 2 surnames clearly. So they gathered the guests they discussed. Jiseen also took the stage to confirm. When he came to the side of number 5, he suddenly stopped. He thought to himself, it was her. I'm very sure. He said the answer in his heart to the other 2. At this time, Seo-bin thought and said, listen, Jiseen, you might think we're the weakest team. But perhaps in this respect, we are the strongest. I also chose her. Obviously, the opinions of the 2 people were unified. But the general refuted their answers. Jiseen also wanted to explain the reason to him. But the teacher once again denied it. I'm going crazy. They can't seem to reach a consensus. Of course, Seo-bin has no way either. She said she was not good at teamwork. Moreover, being stuck between a child and an elderly person. I don't know how to choose. The mystery team is more suitable. They're confirming for the last time. So Seo-gun also went on stage. She wants to confirm one last time with the number 11. Confirm that number 11 is the rich boss. On the White Tiger team, Seo-woo-bin broke the silence first. She told Jiseen to compare with her. See if the 2 have the same options. Number 5 is once again on their radar. However, other teams at this time also began to saw the number 11. Obviously, they all have a common choice. At this time, Prince Maihoa chose Deng Chuang. He put the answer on the well. Others also stood up one after another, confirming that the answer they held in their hands was the number 11. Very quickly, a circular halo appeared in the well one after another. Answer number 11 has been confirmed. At this time, all teams turned their eyes to number 3. What is surprising is that they all think that the number 3 is poor. Therefore, they were also excluded. Each team began screening again. He considered the general to think that he had rich experience. So I decided to go on stage to see it for the final confirmation. After a while of observation, Lin thought that number 10 should be the target character. As for number 4, although General Mao Tang Huang, it does not mean that he is very rich. Hearing this, Ishin couldn't help but ask again. The person surnamed Li also looks quite rich, but he was still denied by the teacher who considered the true general. Seeing this, Ishin said directly that the name was the number 4 in his heart. The teacher saw that the true general clearly did not listen to any advice. Still resolute with his answer. It was clear that the atmosphere was embarrassed to the extreme. I hope he can hear me all. Seeing that he was full of confidence, Xiao Yubi could only choose to trust him in the end. But other teams have put the number 4 on target. The tarot expert even says he can get rich by investing, more like working in the financial field. The middle team quickly finished arranging the answer and finally confirmed the number 7. But unfortunately, the moon was not seen, so the answer was wrong. The next moment, the answer time was up. For teams take turns putting the answer on the well. The first to announce the number 8, the first unified choice. After opening the suitcase, the answer is yes. And the number 11 is also the common choice of the 4 teams. The natural answer is also correct. Team Zhou Tuok and Huan Vu simultaneously chose number 5. The answer was also correct, so they temporarily took the lead. I said, number 5 is right, the White Tiger team chose her from the beginning. Too bad. Eason's expression at this time was obviously nothing to regret. He thought to himself, it was her. I'm so sure I don't think it's her. What hurt him the most was that he felt that he had met his grandmother's expectations. He regretted not giving in. Because of this, he felt extremely sorry. The White Tiger and Dragon Fruit teams chose number 10 respectively. The natural answer was wrong. At this point, the score began to have a gap, But the choice of the White Tiger team, number 1, also helped them win 1 point of their own. Next is the number 4 chosen by the Qinglong and Zhou Tuok teams. The answer is also correct. The Zhou Tuok team leads with 4 points and moves on. Of course, the most unfortunate is still the White Tiger team. The correct answer that GCN had mentioned several times was denied by the teacher, who considered General Chun one after another. He clearly stood away from the 2 people. What will be the special content of the next challenge? Of the 11 couples, what secrets are waiting for them to unravel? The psychics continued with the guest test. It is to find a family with children among the 11 couples. The increase in the number of people makes the pressure of the remaining 3 teams multiply. In the first game, due to the mistake of General Tran, the White Tiger team lost the opportunity to move on. So why can't Ubi wait to step on stage? One is to find out which team is a couple with many children. I just need to look at their Mao generals to know. I could see if the mother gave birth to a son or a daughter. She squinted and observed carefully. On the other side, Jixian shook his head and opened the fan. Both of them are full of strength to win the only next spot, Mrs. Sampson. She's the god I worship, so I'm very good at this. Jixian shook his body and went into a trance. The moment the bell stopped, it seemed that he had an answer in his heart. My godmother, show me the image of the couple holding the baby with a confused look. At the same time, the Xuanwu team also began to summon. My Patronus also played the role of Mrs. Sampson. That's why he brought a pair of scissors with him. After speaking, he took the scissors and walked on stage. He said, just holding the scissors back and forth between them, the answer he wanted would appear in his mind. When he took the scissors and cut them back and forth in front of them, there was even a baby's cry in his head. This was also his unique ritual. Then, he closed his eyes and recalled the image. I smelled the baby's formula. But he seemed to be harassed by some sort of disturbance, so he went back and forth between them. Suddenly a bout of drowsiness came. After he yawned, he understood the crux of the answer at a glance. I'm pretty sure she has children. At this time, the Dragonfruit team also began to speed up the analysis. They suggested first separating who was looking for the other person. Finally, synthesize clues to come to a unified conclusion. Only to see that Lai Sobin also turned on the fan. The bell rang. She said that in the first exam, she did not record the effect. Therefore, it must cause a shock in the second test. She was destined to give birth. Very quickly, the 3 of them had a choice in their hearts. So they started analyzing from the first couple. Sulla said the number 1 couple makes people feel like friends. Moreover, he felt that they would quarrel. But they do have children. Me too. The fortune teller Taros said that the number 1 couple was very stubborn. Therefore, they will have conflicts, even very loud arguments. But when they're in a good mood, their feelings are very salty. I was able to help them with a 3-glass leaf that symbolizes the womb. I also received a picture of the bird. Birds will live in flocks anyway, so their children are like sparrows. Based on the analysis of the fortune teller Taros, they decided to put number 1 on the list of targets. Anka exclaimed, sparrows will incubate a lot of evidence once. Her point of attention is always different from others. She just gave the answer that it was probably so. This made the 2 Selha look at each other. Why do I keep seeing pictures of my pregnant wife? Lai Sobin, help me reconfirm number 1. Under Selha's questioning, Lai Sobin began to draw the flag of the hat again. But very clearly, her state is still not good. Seeing this, Selha decided to withdraw herself. The blue flag represents negativity. This means that there are no children. My 5-way command flag is now not standard. Why is my godmother so angry? It was clear that Lai Sobin was not in her state, which resulted in her not being able to analyze it favorably. That's why she wondered if she had already provoked the goddess. I think my godmother has quit her job. Too bad. She completely lost her fighting power. Don't blame her for being so silent. There's no doubt about it. Now she felt helpless. Grandma, why don't you help me today? Why don't you say anything? Lai Sobin also began to complain and complain. She really didn't know where she had sinned against the goddess. Lai Sobin's abnormality also made the 2 Selha feel uncomfortable. At this time, the White Tiger team also began to summarize, instead of seeing that the number 1 proposed general could be the target. Based on the information of the 4 pillars that he saw, he even felt that the 2 of them would have a lot of children. It is clear that he no longer has the confidence of the first test and has learned to respect the other 2 players. The red flag is drawn, signifying affirmation. I also feel number 1 to have children. Everyone agreed. I'm not so sure. Salubi said he was also confused. Because this couple looks very incompatible, but they don't choose to break up. Then there must be some connection. So Salubi prepared to go to the well to confirm the answer. The next line, the moon rises above the water. They are together for the sake of their children. They had no other choice. Without children, they cannot be together. At this time, Prince Maihoa walked on stage again. He was about to take the pulse for the target woman himself. He said he learned some knowledge from Eastern medicine that if a woman has given birth, her pulse will become different. This also symbolizes life. Maihoa, after going off the stage, did a backup movement. It was clear that he had confirmed his goal. Then took out a piece of white cloth and began to tie the knot. He also explained about this. The black cloth prize at the qualifying round is called a close knot is a blessing to those who died tragically. And the knot made of white cloth is a ritual to protect babies. So he once again stepped on stage, walking through the crowd, hoping to get the real answer. Very quickly, he returned to the mystery team. Mr. Ming Lai announced that the number 5 could be the answer. As a result, the opinions of the 3 people were surprisingly unified. So they put the number 5 on the target list. Maihoa also thinks that the number 10 can also be the answer. He said that the husband looked like a butcher and the wife had the personality of a general, so it brought blessings to the husband. That's why when he untied the knot in front of the number 10, he saw the grains of rice falling. He also proposed that the number 8 was also the goal, and the opinions of the 3 of them once again reached unity. The White Tiger team on the other side was also urgently analyzing. Ji also pointed out the number 5. He said that when he was waving his 3-body fan, he told him to write down this number and hey, he's going to be consistent with his answer. So he also walked on stage and immediately confirmed his answer. Seeing that Ji was so assertive, Xiao Ubi and the teacher didn't dare to refute anymore. Later, Xiao Ubi also proposed the number 11, but the general refuted her answer. So Ji stood up and went forward to take a look. What was surprising was that he walked past the number 11 again, heading towards the number 10 next to him. This scene made the judges stunned. When I regained my soul, I was standing in front of the number 10. He thinks this is a warning point. So after returning, he decisively chose number 10. No way. After being rejected, Ji once again showed a bitter expression. The 2 of them argued again. Xiao Ubi, after withdrawing the order twice, still thinks that the number 11 is the right answer. Ji saw this and had to give in. At this time, even the teacher who watched the foot general thought that there was something strange about the number 11. So they chose number 11. At this time, the dragon fruit team next to him was still frighteningly calm. The 3 of them didn't say a word. They were all doing their own homework. At this time, Xiaoha took on the role of captain. She thinks that she can't sit and wait for death. So he got up and walked on stage. She paused for a moment before each pair of guests. Very quickly, the number 6 caught her eye. But my fortune teller didn't think so. She assumes that a man cannot give birth. This sentence surprised the judges so much that they couldn't keep their mouths shut. She had obviously guessed the details of the answer. Xiaoha said she had seen some kind of surgery. That surgery can be a vasectomy. Is the red muscle she draws that also signifies affirmation. The answer is obviously correct. So she took the name of the number 6 and rang the bell. And the Xuanwu team is confused about number 4. So they also went to the well of truth. Unfortunately, the answer is wrong. They decided to check the number 2 as well. The answer is still wrong. At this moment, Li Xiaobin, who had always been silent, suddenly stood up. My teammates are confused about the number 10. I want to help my teammates. After Li Xiaobin confirmed, she agreed to her teammate's choice. She said she has no regrets. In the next second, the answer time was up. The Dragon Fruit team and the White Tiger team chose number 1 at the same time. I found that the man showed signs of losing talent. He has to take care of a lot of people. The burden is also very large. And Ji thinks that the man is as warm as fire. I prefer to stay at home and be with my wife. Therefore, it is certain that they will have children, whereas it is warm as fire. This sentence made him embarrassed with his whole face. Announcing the answers, the 2 teams successfully won 1 point. Family number 1 has up to 5 babies, and the 2 husband and wife also often quarreled. But since having children, they have become much calmer. The current relationship has also improved. Next is number 5, selected by the White Tiger team and the Huinvu team at the same time. The answer was naturally correct. They have up to 8 children. Among them are 2 sets of twins. At this time, the White Tiger team temporarily leads with 2 points. Gist no. 6 was also chosen by the White Tiger and Tan Long teams. The White Tiger team won 3 matches, won a huge advantage. Gist no. 9 was chosen by the Tan Long and Huinvu teams, and this helped the Tan Long team level the score. And guess number 10 was also chosen by these 2 teams at the same time. The answer is still correct. Ji saw the answer. The expression of disappointment was obvious. Apparently this sentence is still due to distrust of him. The Tan Long team successfully advanced to the semifinals. I'm sorry. We consider each other to be friendly. It's okay. Don't cry anymore. Sorry. Ji was obviously very unfortunate to be eliminated. After a fierce team battle, next is the 4th round of head-to-head challenges. Goddess Sia's words were sharp, speaking without abstinence, without twisting, which Li Su Bin with 20 years of experience in the profession declared. I've already come to this step. Let me win. tarot fortune teller monarch with 8 years of affirmative experience. Today I'm going to show you the power of the East Asian Tarot. Rapper magician Unde Ae brings with 5 years of experience. Use singing to explain to others. Also affirmed. I will show the experience that I have accumulated over the years. Along with them are the inheritance magician T.G. Eon, Sujin, and the spiritual tarot fortune teller Choi Hannah. The 6 people who advance to the inner round will participate in a challenge called the Confrontation of the Gods. In the Confrontation of the Gods, 2 psychics will confront each other head-on and interpret the fate of the same person. The show invited 3 mysterious guests to participate in the challenge and provided their birthdays. Each match has only one winner. Therefore, this round will eliminate 3 people. The appearance of the first guest made the whole studio cheer. Is Shin Dong-hee, stage name Shin Dong, a veteran member of the famous Korean boy band Super Junior. The group was once famous throughout Asia and is now also very active in the Korean entertainment industry, possessing a large number of loyal fans. The judges were surprised because he once said that he had his own business, he had to go abroad. Obviously, Shin Dong wants to surprise everyone, and, at the same time, to avoid contestants looking up information about him in advance. His appearance also made the judges extremely jealous. They said, "We've talked many times, I really want to go down there, I really want to ask those 2 people to explain it for me." Shin Dong also explained the purpose of his participation. As an artist, he will inherently feel insecure about the future. Although he knows his past experiences, he feels confused about future development. In addition, now that he is older, he is very curious about his marriage. So he chose Xiao Ha and Choi Hannah to solve the problem. The 2 people who were teammates a second ago have now become rivals. Perhaps this is also a Tantalion of fate. The challenge begins with Xiao Ha's interpretation, and Choi Hannah has to wear soundproof headphones so as not to be affected. After learning Xian Dong's real name, Xiao began to make vows and he said that he wanted to get married and wanted to get to know women. But no one met his standards. Xiao Ha thought that Xian Dong said that he wanted to get married was just a word of mouth because he didn't trust women. She pointed out that Xian Dong should find a young but mature person, even if it is one zodiac sign. Xian Dong's happy reaction made the whole studio laugh. However, Xiao Ha said that he could not stand young girls who cause trouble for no reason and could not stand his housewife not working. A more suitable person is someone who has a positive personality, can take care of life on their own, and best of all, can make money together. Xian Dong said in surprise, "Now that I'm so surprised, I thought she was talking about my ex-girlfriend." Her words match so accurately that Xian Dong has to admit to saying that they are black-hearted. Xiao Ha also pointed out that Xian Dong almost married her. He almost got married, but the timing didn't seem right. She added that they would have children, but because of a little problem, they broke up. For this love, Xian Dong is obviously still very concerned. At this time, Xiao Ha continued to ask because Xian Dong had said that his grandmother was a magician. He confirmed it was his grandmother. Xiao Ha immediately warned this could be dangerous for him. She sensed that someone wanted him to become a magician. Since this is the family inheritance, he is bound to suffer. The judges also confirmed that Xian Dong has spiritual talent. Once warned a girl group member to be careful, and then she was immediately involved in a scandal. Xiao Ha said that the fact that he sang and danced in public helped suppress some of his spiritual energy, but that was not enough. She predicts that his career will be better this year. He will receive an invitation to start a business and have a large amount of money flowing out. But also advise him to be patient because this year will lose a lot of money. Xian Dong admitted that he had recently received a pretty good invitation and would probably give it a try. Later, Xiao Ha also pointed out that in Xian Dong's family, there were people with nervous system problems such as brain diseases or dementia. Xian Dong confirmed that it was his grandfather. She also said that his mother was always worried about the family economy, which made his father often feel depressed. At this time, Xian Dong couldn't help but speak. He said he had cut off contact with his parents because of financial problems. Previously, every time he gave money, his mother always asked for a lot and did not specify the purpose of use. Every time the money reaches his mother, he is deceived. Therefore, he also has worries in his heart. This is also the reason he hopes to have his own family, because every time he is with his family, he feels lonely. At the end of the explanation, Xiao Ha said that she also used to be a dancer and had a distant relationship with her parents. So there is a sympathy between the two. She suggested they could talk like friends. Hearing this, Xian Dong wrote down his phone number. Next, Choi Hannah took off her headphones and rearranged the Buddha beads in front of her. A tarot fortune teller carries a string of Buddha beads and is apparently seen for the first time. She closed her eyes for a moment and then began to draw cards, using many different types of cards. "Can I just be straightforward?" she asked and began. "When I drew the card of his posterity, I drew the priestess card." She thinks that Xian Dong's intuition since childhood has been very standard. The energy on him made her feel very much like herself. Xian Dong can see through a stranger and will also use this spiritual intuition to judge things. Choi Hannah said, that's why he ignores other people's shortcomings, making him feel lonely inside. She suddenly asked, is your stomach okay? Hearing this, Xian Dong immediately felt dizzy. It turned out that every day he had a burning sensation in his stomach. He once had a very severe gastroesophageal reflux. Choi Hannah went on to say that she sees a lot of sadness in him. He believes that people will not change. Her words coincided surprisingly with Xiao Ha, where she also said that he wanted to love and marry, but didn't trust women. She advised, try to trust women first, and then talk about marriage. Regarding the time of marriage, she said he would get married late. At the age of 41, someone will enter his life, but it is unlikely that it will develop into a marriage. If you miss this opportunity, you have to wait 3 years later. This woman can help him economically and is younger than him. Once again, her words coincided with Xiao Ha's. When Xian Dong wanted to ask more, the time was over. In the next 10 minutes, 2 psychics will explain to Xian Dong at the same time. Just when Xiao Ha was full of confidence, Choi Hannah was confused because she didn't know how to interrupt others. Xian Dong expressed his troubles, that he felt that he was getting older, his physical strength was getting worse, and he didn't know how long he could last. Xiao Ha thinks that he can perform periodically on anniversaries because his peak period has passed. She advised him to try to expand other career paths. At this moment, Choi Hannah, who didn't know how to interrupt others, played the role and interrupted. The energy that kept him going was now a little congested. This scene amazed the judges. She said Xian Dong was destined to become a public figure, but had to do something else to reactivate her energy. It is necessary to try your hand at other areas and learn to let go when necessary. Seeing this, Xian Dong asked the last question. Among the members of Super Junior, who can I trust? Choi Hannah continued, saying that it seemed that he and the members kept a certain distance. For him, it's just work. This word made Xian Dong immediately get goosebumps, because he often joked with him like that to preserve a long-term relationship. The next moment is the qualifiers. Xian Dong chose Choi Hannah, but the judges gave a score of 4, divided not in favor of Sia. In the end, Sia smoothly moved on. In the next section, we will welcome a 60-year-old female tycoon. Who is it after all? Why did she come here? How did they invite her? That is Esther, a famous Korean family medicine doctor. She is also a famous businesswoman with an annual turnover of 400 billion won. According to documents, when she was young, she was still involved in acting and published many books. It can be said that he is a character of real caliber. As a tycoon, why did you go to the studio? She said that since she was a child, she has been very curious about occultism. When he was young, he even looked for many famous experts to discuss. She said that in her previous life, each key point was smoothly overcome. But now I'm over 60 years old, so I'm very curious about what my future holds. Everyone calls me Lucky Esther. She chose the tarot fortune teller Monarch and the witch Lee Sobin to interpret it for her. The first was the Monarch started, and as a rule Lee Sobin wore soundproof headphones. Facing the witch, Monarch doesn't have much confidence. I think Sobin has a good chance of winning. She first said that the woman who came here must have a reason, so there was no need to provide anything either. Monarch began to draw cards. She thinks that a woman holds money in one hand, glory in the other. Everyone says she is rich and perfect, but the second card implies a new beginning. She said the woman may want to put her current achievement on hold to take on a new challenge. This card is the doctor who is preparing medicine. That's right, this is where they host foreign guests. The third card represents a path that has been brushed so that she can create a new landscape. Monarch says all of this may represent her current state, but another early card shows what she is doing. This means that she will be going abroad. Monarch's words made the woman so astonished that she couldn't close her mouth. It is clear that she regularly travels abroad. At the age of 61, she has generated 400 billion in revenue in 4 markets. She said the woman wouldn't just be in one place, but would be like moving forward in 3 places at once. No doubt, Monarch had guessed them all. The woman said that because of her business, she often travels to China. Her products in Japan have contracted with 1,000 convenience stores, and her factory is in the US, where she has invested a large amount of money. But she didn't have much of a reputation in these 3 countries, so she wanted to know how to expand her career. As far as I can see, I've seen an opportunity come up. Monarch argues that the cards all herald the signing of the papers. So a new beginning or company name change is coming, and she will move forward at an incredible pace. And after entering the unknown world, she was ready to go. Pulling up the skirt is the appearance of being ready to act. So Monarch feels this will be the focus of the next stage in a woman's life. Her interpretation was recognized by the woman. Obviously, each sentence was aimed directly at the doubts in her heart. For Esther, Monarch's interpretation was extremely interesting. At this time, Monarch is more like a psychologist, stabilizing the woman's restless inner self, helping her to calm down to get the best results. Riding an elephant shows that she advances and expands faster, so I think it probably takes about 3 years to settle down. If I can't draw this card today, I'll tell you to reconsider. Okay, but this card represents limitlessness, absolutely no limit. Infinite, there is no name. So Monarch spoke of the appearance of Margot, the dark setting that symbolized the unknown world. Soon after, she asked a new question. She said her husband was 2 years younger than her, but before she could finish speaking, Monarch began to draw again. To be honest, her husband's income is just a little change, and said that in the end, she would take care of her husband like a son. Actually, what I'm curious about is about my husband. Yes, he's going to remarry. As soon as this question was asked, Monarch was instantly dumbfounded, and the judges also shouted in amazement one after another. As a trillionaire female tycoon, she doubts her husband's fidelity in public. Obviously, this is something no one expected. Monarch was dazed and began to draw cards again. Paying attention at this time, Monarch's expression was very confused. Saying right or wrong for her is probably life. In her facing outwards, this means that he is most likely interested in the other woman. He may be interested, but he won't leave the house. It's true that it doesn't break the rules to look at it at all. It's just to stay in the house and look out. Also explain to him that he has the liver, but does not have the liver. Monarch also emphasized that it is only looking through TV or similar media. Obviously, she didn't dare to say it directly at all. Then she added a sentence that he wouldn't go out to meet new people. But after hearing this sentence, the woman's mood clearly began to deteriorate. It should have been fun. Finally, the card also shows a picture of promise to each other. Even if they break up, they will eventually reunite. So she assumed that the man would not leave. At this time, the woman's face became more and more unsightly. Why are you upset? This scene made everyone dumbfounded. One by one, I began to guess if the older woman wanted a divorce. At this time, the time for interpretation ended. So how will Lai Sobin give an explanation? Fortunately, she felt that her goddess did not leave today. The bell just rang. The silver reverberation filled the house. She mistook the summoning spell in her mouth. Dr. Esther, how can you persevere? Reading books doesn't suit her. She said the woman hated reading, but persevered. This point makes people feel very interesting. The woman nodded in confirmation, just as Lai Sobin said, but she herself was naturally intelligent. Usually you only need to study for a few days before the exam to get an excellent score. Lai Sobin said that around the age of 54, she had experienced all the bad things in her life. So now I am so confident. She told him already. In 1973, he was arrested by the National Intelligence Bureau. The whole family was deported to Japan. Now my goddess said, she obviously has a husband. But if you have a husband and you don't, what's the matter? Lai Sobin confirmed that she has a husband. But they're in the middle of the world of husband and wife and strangers. She frankly said that this feeling would be very painful. But the man had no intention of leaving. If that's the case, just keep it by your side. Each person clearly defined his own name. This is probably better for the woman as well. Anyway, they really didn't get along. Lai Sobin had obviously guessed the answer correctly. The woman's husband is now living separately with her, moving to Jeju Island alone. My goddess and grandmother kept mentioning something else. She said, everybody likes me, loves me. But she said she felt very lonely. She was very lonely. At this time, the woman said that although she herself is also a doctor, she always suffers from depression. It's always hard to get out. Moreover, it started in high school. In fact, my beloved sister passed away alone 9 years ago. She said she has since been heavily attacked. But the business is increasingly prosperous, and the children are also living very well. Lai Sobin told her not to hide her emotions in her heart. Remembering a deceased loved one is normal. Being sad is also the right thing to do. She told the woman not to feel that she couldn't protect her sister. That's not the case. Obviously, for her sister's affairs, there was always a deep affection in her heart. It's okay. In fact, because of her sister's story, her depression also became more serious. He was even hospitalized several times, undergoing electroshock therapy. Using electrical currents to stimulate the brain has no effect. Her depression was more severe than people imagined. The treatment also caused her to lose part of her memory. In addition, the sad things that have happened also make her tend to be bored with life. Don't have that thought. I always calculate my last day in my head. What did she just say? She said that in her mind, she always asked why she had to live so miserably. And there's a specific date, November 18th. She even made plans for herself. She thinks that this date will not coincide with important family anniversaries. But her thinking has now changed. As soon as she heard their explanation, she decided to leave that day for the next year. Lai Sobin said that she loves her job and is also very responsible. So hopefully she will continue to maintain this strength. As for friendship, her current job seemed more important just because she felt that she was already devoted to them and that she had already provided them with everything they needed. Sobin hopes she can continue to live for it. Her interpretation was recognized by the woman. She said that she herself will prepare in advance for whatever she does, so everything her children and husband need has been prepared, ensuring that after she dies, they can still live happily. This also includes many employees of the company, of course. According to the investigation, she helped employees buy a lot of houses to fulfill their dreams. This is also a typical feature of depression. When she felt that she had done her best for her family, she no longer wanted to torture herself. Or when you wake up, the first thing you do is think that you can leave. The woman asked the same question, will my husband remarry? If the answer is yes, then that means she will die. Yes, that means I will leave this world. It was clear that when she started asking this question, she was also deciding her life and death. Later, Lee Sobin asked her husband's male student, wait, is one of them the other's first love? I asked that because I felt that one of them was the other's first love. The answer is obviously correct. The woman said that she was her husband's first love. She said that her husband had never even kissed a girl before he knew her. Of course, in her eyes, her husband is both thoughtful and thoughtful, true to the standards of a man of the family. A few days ago, he even ran to the water park alone, even posting selfies. This action seems childish in everyone's eyes. But there were too many people, so he went to the amusement park next door to the wildlife area for the retired giraffes to eat here and there. He lives completely in his own little world, doing things like that all the time. Of course, men are children who never grow up. Perhaps her husband was also very lonely. The two of them, who had enjoyed old age hand in hand, live their own lonely old age. He does live in his own world, but I'm sure this is his last love. He couldn't find anyone else. There's one more thing. Try for another 2 years. Lee Sobin thinks that a woman's depression will have a good turn. It's just that she's heard laughter in the future, and her grandmother's body also conveys an important message. That is to try to endure and live well until then. Lee Sobin gave the woman hope for the future. Okay, I won't pick a date anymore. Yes, this is exactly what we want to hear. Immediately afterwards, Lee Sobin offered to touch the woman's hand, and the bell rang again. She was very good, but where is her father now being kept by the bell? Did people leave him? I felt that he had been reburied. Yes, we left his grave. Lee Sobin thinks that it can all be traced back to this. From then on, they lived a little hard, like moving from a house with a garden to an apartment. Therefore, for him, it is a little stifling. Naturally, it will not be fun. Lee Sobin said he wanted to rest on his land. From the family's graveyard, it was moved to the nearby skeleton tower. Really? The current place was a little stifling for him. So hopefully the woman can visit him regularly. She conveyed to the woman the importance of camaraderie. Intractable depression is also largely related to relatives. Her interpretation this time clearly has no flaws. First, give the woman hope, then solve from the root problem easily. If the internal problem is solved, everything will be fine. The time for interpretation is over. There's no doubt about it. Lee Sobin won overwhelmingly this time. The guest of this time is the famous Korean chef Young Ji-sun. She has participated in culinary class wars, hidden chefs, and other popular food shows, and is famous for her sugar-sweetened sweet potatoes. She even gave a lecture on cuisine at Harvard and is also the busiest chef in Korea. Therefore, her appearance surprised the judges. When asked if she often goes to see destiny, she shared before starting big projects, I used to meet a lot of psychics who looked at the 4 pillars. But she said she was a little afraid of finding a magician to interpret it because she had never tried this form. When she received the invitation of the program, she thought that this was an opportunity, so she boldly tried it once without any special purpose. Nothing to beg for is the greatest difficulty. Kwon So-jin and Il-hun Daeman will face off in the final battle of the war. Both are very confident. The first round of interpretation was started by Il-hun Daeman. The moment the male fan opened, he sang a summoning song. Young Ji-sun, sitting next to him, was obviously a little uncomfortable. His eyes were as round as bronze bells. This scene made the judges laugh. After the singing stops, Daeman asks her if she has dreamed of becoming a chef since she was a child, but it doesn't seem to be the case. She had always wanted to follow the cooking profession. Why did he ask? She replied, at first, I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. That's right, Daeman doesn't like being a preschool teacher. He insisted that he had guessed the first clues, something that even many of her close friends didn't know. Daeman says her current job is not a problem, and she exudes the aura of a shogun, so she has to dance the sword in some way. According to background information, some people say that her destiny is associated with the sword, and her previous life was a general. She has to give orders to men, and she has to be the head. She must give orders and act constantly as a leader. She has a cast iron tie. She can't work under other people's containers. Hearing this, The woman nodded in confirmation. I saw on her the temperament of a false god, so she was very suitable for traveling abroad. In other words, one of her ancestors regularly traveled to China or Japan. Of course, young Ji-san herself often travels to China and is preparing to expand her career overseas. Her forte is Chinese cuisine. Dayman said that although she was hesitant in her heart, she actually decided early on that she just wanted to continue making Chinese cuisine, and her expression proved it. This face will bring good luck to her future. Her inherent appearance was already very beautiful, he said, and repeatedly advised her not to have surgery. Now, talking about her health, I feel that her uterus is a little weak. I see that she is at risk of gynecological diseases, he said, and told her to see a doctor. Dayman guessed him again, the woman who had undergone surgery for uterine cancer. She asked, I want to know what the future holds for my son. Dayman suggested that her son should be more active, which surprised the judges. Later, Dayman said she saw Southeast Asia and predicted she would be famous there, even having the opportunity to enter the European market. As it turned out, the woman was preparing to open a new store. Dayman did not hesitate to tell her to choose Taiwan, China, because he thought that it would be more promising than Singapore. He suddenly changed the subject. Don't have any plastic surgery. She admitted, I really want to cut my eyelids. Absolutely don't do it, Dayman advised. She thinks that if she cuts her eyelids, she will probably look sharper because when she doesn't wear eye makeup, she looks very gentle. And if you don't take action, there will be no results. After all, the two of you are sleeping separately. Dayman's words once again amazed the judges. It is reported that in 2017, at the age of 35, she began sleeping in a separate room with her husband. If you don't take action, how can you get pregnant? Find somewhere romantic. He said he saw an empty room in the couple's house, indicating that they kept a certain distance. But this relationship will probably make the two of you better. Dayman also pointed out that the couple rarely talks to each other. The woman frankly said that her family hates emotional wear. Sometimes at home, she is too lazy to open her mouth and text her husband. As for her husband, he is a very soft insider. Dayman said, it turned out that the judges all knew her husband. In their eyes, the two of them were like a compensation. One is cold, the other is talkative and gentle. Moreover, he is very business-minded. The woman said she had no desire for power. So when she opened the restaurant, she registered everything under her husband's name. You're crazy, the man exclaimed. She explained that she trusted her husband unconditionally. When she first started her career, everyone looked down on her. Therefore, she registered the company in her husband's name also to show her firm belief. As for ownership, I feel that in the future, the two of them will own their own. Starting from the next business, it was okay to register under her name. At this time, the woman mentioned her sister, who had a completely different life, had passed through the door of death, and her current condition was still very serious. Dayman immediately said that she had undergone many surgeries since she was a child and had to be very careful over the next few years. He even said that her mental state was not good. The whole person has no strength. He guessed him again. Sujin's turn. She writes down the guest's information and begins to interpret it directly without using tools such as fans or bells. She is very ambitious. It seems that she is destined to win the admiration and jealousy of others. She asked if young Ji-sun plans to expand her career now and said that in the past 2 to 3 years, she has been constantly trying to prepare. After that, he said that her sister was very skillful, making many beautiful small items. This is also accurate. The woman said her sister majored in skincare, is an excellent nail technician and nurse's assistant with more than 20 certifications. But because of his health, he couldn't work. Dayman thinks that the person just needs to let her find a hobby and walk out. At this point, the time of Dayman's interpretation ended. This is true. After winning the first branch revenue of 100 million, she began to prepare to open a second restaurant. You're against franchising, aren't you? That's right. Do you want to start doing anything next year? The female magician asked again. The woman said she wanted to open a restaurant abroad, then buy a large building. You want to buy a big building, don't you? Not a low-rise building. It looks quite tall. The magician said she was hesitating whether to buy the 10-story building. After speaking, she studied the woman's palm and thought that she was not suitable for sitting in the office, but suitable for being constantly on the move and preferring to do everything with her own hands. Background information does indeed say the same. At this time, the magician said that in the not-too-distant future, she might have the opportunity to go to Southeast Asia. This clue clearly coincided with that of the night of the meal. She also affirmed the expansion of her business in Southeast Asia, even telling her to close a restaurant in South Korea, closing the Hongdae branch. When asked why, the magician said that the time had not yet come. Wait, after opening a new store overseas, maybe she will close a restaurant in the country and send employees abroad. Your life is not good, is she? The magician asked. Yes, after giving birth, it got worse, she replied. One more thing, Her reproductive health is not very good. This explanation coincides with that of the dinner night. The magician continued to talk about her family. She had 3 children, but she only had one, right? Isn't there one more child? Once again, he was mentioned a sad story. The woman repeated her pregnancy and said that she had experienced it twice in her life. I saw that there was a baby about to be born. The very next year, the magician predicted that it would once again coincide with the night of the meal. But she advised not to get pregnant because of her health, otherwise she would suffer a lot of suffering. Even if there is no problem with the uterus, there may be problems with the armor. The judges were stunned again. It turned out that the woman's mother had thyroid problems. At this time, the woman mentioned her twin sister again. I have a twin sister who is very sick. I want to know if she can go to work and integrate into society. The shaman said her sister had both physical and mental problems. Her sister has no intention of contacting the outside world for the time being, thinking that no one can understand her. This is a psychological illness, a form of depression. She thinks that in the next few years, it will be difficult for her sister to make money. She frankly said that her sister had always tried to study but committed suicide, and in the end she didn't like any skills. The magician even said that her sister would often feel headaches and would be more serious in the future, possibly requiring surgical removal. At this time, the time for interpretation ended. The judges gave the score a draw of 2 divided by 2. The final decision is given to the guests. After thinking it through, Dung Ji-sun chose Il Hundaman to move on. The final round of the spiritual war of the kimchi version once again took place a challenge against the will of heaven. The 3 psychics who made it to the semifinals were Seo-ha straightforward, Lee So-bin who was reckless and sophisticated, and the only male magician, Il Hundaman. The final round is called the Confrontation of Souls. The 3 magicians who are destined to reach the final round must communicate with spirits to soothe the pain of the living and comfort the spirits. The topic of the challenge has just been given. Park Naji has begun to disseminate the knowledge of the summoning ritual. He has obviously seen a lot, and some inexplicable things also make people afraid. Il Hundaman thought that this was a very normal thing. After all, the magician was the bridge between the 2 realms of yin and yang. In any case, to help the deceased say the words they couldn't say and deal with their regrets to go to a better place. The program team came up with 3 photos corresponding to 3 sad stories. Every family has lost their loved one. The 3 psychics will take turns choosing a family to decipher the story that happened to the soul of the deceased. Seo-ha can't wait to walk towards one of the photos, seemingly receiving some kind of instruction. As soon as I saw the photo, she said she was heartbroken. She told me that she had a bad fate. She was very sad. She didn't know she was dying like that. Lee So-bin chose the number 1 photo, wanting to hear the story of the deceased soul. At this time, Seo-ha wanted to speak up, but she began to be shy. She said she had seen a certain scene, assuming that the man in the photo was the trustee. I couldn't help but burst into tears and clench my hands, because I could feel the deceased. Dayman said that after seeing the photo, his emotions were both agitated and heartbreaking. He felt that this lost child was loved and cared for with all his heart, although he was still young, but he understood very well. He was an understanding child, and his father once said that if he could be with his daughter for 1 more hour, he would give up everything he was struggling with. Each story is tearful and touching, so let the psychics take turns to decipher. At the challenging scene of the final round, the program team specially invited 49 judges, messengers of destiny, and judges. Their scores will determine the fate of 3 people. Each envoy of destiny has the right to give 25 points. Each judge has 1 point, and the trustee holds 51 decisive points. For a total of 200 points, the person with the highest score wins. Selha was the first to decipher. The trustee is the 4th lead vocalist of the famous rap band Buin. After Selha learns the name and date of birth of his deceased wife, the man says there is another person. The deceased also has his brother. His brother was the 3rd lead vocalist of the band Buin, who died at the age of 26 in a traffic accident. The coaxing day of the brother and his wife was the same day. Selha opened the fan, her mouth reciting the mantra, the god of grandmother, the god of grandfather. Now that I am with Kim Jedu, please instruct me to decipher all of this correctly. At this time, Selha's emotions gradually declined, and soon the bell stopped. Jedu is like this. As a magician, when I give the interpretation, I can usually hold on to my emotions, but now it's really too difficult. She died of illness, didn't she? Selha said she had seen cancer, and the answer was obviously correct. His wife died on August 11th, 2022, due to illness. Selha said a shaman like her could feel the sensations of the deceased and described intense nausea, not swallowing rice, and even diarrhea. The man obviously didn't want to mention these things, just to save face for his wife. The man said that his wife's cancerous organs had been removed, and he had even had surgery to open the colon. and there was absolutely no way to eat normally. Food, and will even be discharged directly. For her, this was clearly a torment. Before he died, his weight had also dropped to 30 kilograms. This memory is also a pain that he will not forget for the rest of his life. Soon after, Sela voiced their helplessness. Even taking the medicine didn't work. This family will most likely need surgery for the prostate and reverse uterus. Her reproductive system is very poor. She has uterine fibroids. Her uterus also used to bleed. Once she had cancer, she would go through all the complications. Sela pointed out his wife's weak physique. She thought that the basics could not be changed and said that when she died, it was extremely painful. Her words made the man a little sad. The man said that he and his wife had been battling cancer for 5 years. These years, he has taken his wife to find famous doctors around the world. Finally, the wife said she wanted to go to Mount Sirac where there was fresh air to live. He left his wife alone to live there for 5 months, and it was during these 5 months that the disease began to worsen. At this time, the man had nothing. Use all your savings to treat your wife's illness. I want to save her life. The doctor said she only had 6 months left to live, but I helped her hold on for 5 years. After Mr. Ha died, did you ever think that you would go with her? Yes. Oh my goodness. Sela said that if it wasn't for his daughter, he would probably have followed his wife soon. Look how angry my goddess is. You idiot. You want to kill yourself. You idiot. You are so daring. You must live on. You idiot shamelessly disgraces your house. Sela used all her strength to scold the man to wake up. I just want to know how she is doing now. Is she okay? Has she been reincarnated? Is she okay? Here's what I want to know. Sela gave a negative answer. She said the man still had his wife's relics in his hand. The man said there was also a fur coat. It was also because of her daughter's request that she kept it. Their daughter also couldn't let go of her mother. At this time, Sela took out a green chess piece or a relic used in the ceremony. She won't be able to leave. He was still attached to her. Sela asked him why he was here. It's because he still can't let go of his wife. This little bit of nostalgia will also dazzle her. Hearing this, the man began to let go. He expressed his willingness to let go of everything, as long as his wife can go to a better place. In the next second, Sela was about to use the ritual to fulfill the man's wish. But the ritual had not yet begun, and she was already feeling the pain and intense nausea. I am transmitting the feelings of the person who has suffered, then fell into a trance. She's here. Obnoxious. It's not fair. I hate it so much. Seeing this scene, Park Na-rae also got goosebumps. Hurry up here. Come to me. Over here, over here. I really miss you. I miss you so much. Selha is in a state of madness, covered with nostalgia for her husband and attachment to this world. As a human being, I really can't stand it anymore. I felt like I was going to die. Compassionate, 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 I'm about to lose it. The feeling of pain made her cry out loud. Finally, taking off the golden round shirt on her body made her gradually return to normal. The scene made everyone feel a chill down their spine. The final round has only just begun, and it has made people so depressed. After adjusting for a while, Selha put on the golden round shirt again. After lowering the brightly colored candles, Selha rings the bell to the sound of folk music, and always asks the man what to do. Talk about how to be an excellent actor. Selha's expression just now made people can't help but admire. She always screamed in pain, and also screamed that she didn't want to leave. Don't die. Please don't die. Husband, please don't die. I beg you. After talking about the same suffering, Selha shifted her focus to the man. Hoped to use this method to dissolve the tears in his heart. She said she only had one will. It is hoped that the man can take good care of their daughter. Only the living brother can do it, so tell him not to think about suicide. At this time, the man, no matter how strong, was made to shed tears by her cry. Crying to the point of tearing my heart and tearing my lungs is just like this. At this time, the man expressed that he would live well. I will also try my best to let my daughter recover, as before. Selha's eyes widened, not even daring to blink. She knew this was the last time she would see her real husband. Leaving next, she woke up in a bout of nausea. The soul suddenly left. Is she gone? Selha said the man had to comfort her, say a final goodbye to her, then send her away. This also seems to have removed the eye in a man's heart. Separation is the most painful experience in a person's life. Even though it is an ancient culture that has been handed down, I hope that the living will live a better life. Not to drown in your own cocoon and get lost. Keep that nostalgia deep in your heart. It is the best remembrance for the deceased relatives. Next will be Lee Sobin's challenge on the case of his missing sister. Maybe it's a sad story. Sobin rubbed his hands and waited for the bulldozer to arrive. As a magician with 20 years of experience, she naturally has a lot of bravery and strengths. Please tell me your full name. Also, what year were you born? After knowing the basic information of the two sisters, Lee Sobin took the woman's hand, closed his eyes for a moment, and then spoke. She was very scared. How did she overcome? This was not her fault. Lee Sobin didn't say too much and went straight to the point, constantly asking how did the sister get through this stage? She lost her sister and left half of her face paralyzed. Don't blame yourself anymore. It's okay. Sobin comforted. The bulldozer began to quietly shed tears. Seeing the scene, Sobin opened the fan. Ring the bell. The moment the bell stopped, where her substance completely changes. I left too early. I should not have left the world at that time. My head hurts so much. Unable to breathe. I think it's not a knife, but I see a lot of wounds. Sobin has clearly entered the perspective of the deceased. She wondered why there were so many scars on her body. She told him already. It's unbelievable, the woman exclaimed. She said her sister died because she fell downstairs. The fatal injury came from a head injury. She said everyone suspected it was suicide. Suicide has become an unnatural cause of death. It is second only to traffic accidents in today's society. She was wondering if her death was ultimately by heaven or because she was involved in other misfortunes. This was exactly what she wanted to know. The woman replied. The way she died made us suspect that she was killed. After hearing that the cause of death was suicide, the judges couldn't keep their mouths shut in amazement. It turned out that the sister fell from the second floor, but at the same time the girl hit the ground. 14 years ago, the sisters still had a lot of questions. Did you know that there used to be a magician in your house? Sobin asked. Her grandmother was a female magician, and this profession is largely passed down by the family. Sobin said bluntly, if the woman goes to find other magicians to answer, there is a high probability of rejection, just because she herself is physically sensitive to spirituality. And it all stemmed from the fact that there used to be a magician in the house. You understand. She will feel everything and see dreams. The woman replied, that's right. I have. The truth is that it is. The woman often talks to herself. I wondered if my magician blood had killed my sister. Sobin once again guessed correctly. The woman always thinks it's because she refuses to inherit the bloodline. So he got involved with his sister. She was afraid that the next person to be punished by heaven would be her. They can kill her at any time. He could take her away at any time. Hear this. The woman was obviously nervous. The body began to unconsciously sway back and forth. She accidentally blurted out, why do I keep trembling like this? Her whole body was constantly swaying back and forth, causing Sobin's pupils to suddenly dilate. After that, Sobin took the 5-color command flag. The green flag appeared. Dead. She thought to herself, this is obviously a bad point. Next, she held the flag and flew it over the woman's head. Hoped to be able to dispel the evil chi around them. She asked if the woman felt that she would be punished by the gods. I don't know. She replied. She really didn't know. Maybe she was just trying to hide. Sobin seemed to see the key immediately, but did not continue to dig deep, which dragged the topic back to the death of the sister. At this time, the woman said that this was also what her sister was most worried about when she was born. Her sister gave her a lot of advice, but she didn't hear a word. The only thing she heard was to stay away from the wizard. She said that she came here for only one purpose. As long as the sister is happy, as long as my sister was resting, you'll be satisfied. In this way, she can also reduce the guilt in her heart and live well for the rest of her days. After all, only the living can feel the heart-wrenching pain of losing a loved one. She said that even if she died tomorrow, she had no regrets. But if I'm also gone, what should my family do? They will only suffer more. It is also because of this stability that she tries to live on. But she still has to try to live on. Sobin said, I heard you're very strong. She is both kind and attentive, but also very strong. The woman asked, can you clearly feel my state? Hearing this, everyone showed a look of horror. Sobin calmly said she could see through everything. But her grandmother God didn't say anything more, because she always says that she's a god. Divine spirit, that is why did a judge ask? It means that she is possessed by the gods. This scene makes the girl's hair creepy, and the woman's expression is like being possessed by a demon in a movie. Sobin said she felt the woman would survive, also be able to get through the most difficult period. You can have 3 more years. By then, she could shine freely moreover. Less worried about the money, the woman suddenly became harsh. What? Worry less about the money. Trouble to die. Seeing this unusual scene, Sobin also deserved to be touched. The woman used an expression to prevent Sobin from continuing to decipher. Her expression was completely different from before. Everyone present didn't know what to do. The woman kept repeating the annoying sentence and died. The skin is also red and hot, which can be seen with the naked eye. Sobin asked, Grandma, are you troubled? The woman replied, I don't believe you at all. Trouble to die. One person commented, she seems to have been entered. Sobin continued to ask her grandmother if there was anything she was not satisfied with. But it was once again met with a strong response. What do you know? Everyone panicked, but Sobin kept his composure. For her, this scene was all too familiar. At this time, the woman spoke up and said she needed to calm down. She was clearly out of the ambiguity. But Sobin suggested that the decryption be halted because the grandmother god behind her was already angry. Hearing this sentence, the woman thought that she was naturally angry. Do you really think so? At this time, the host couldn't help but ask if she remembered what just happened. She said she remembered everything. It's just that I feel that my emotions are completely out of control, so I want to calm down. She couldn't understand why she was so angry with Sobin, who was so polite. This state of loss of control has never been difficult before. From what I saw, that's not what she was saying. Sobin explained, it was the god after the host asked. As far as I can see, it is. If it weren't for the fact that her body keeps shaking just now, I would even put her in the category of bipolar disorder. This situation is more common than people think, especially when the trustee comes to me for help. This will happen to those who are possessed by the gods. So the host asked if it was her grandmother. She wouldn't talk like that, so it wasn't her grandmother. But I have to say it again, I think we shouldn't do this. Not today. Sobin said the first step in decryption is to build trust. The second is whether the two people are compatible, is also the so-called fate. Only then can the connection between the two parties be established. But it was clear that today, the two people were not suitable for the next ritual, and there was no need to proceed. Sobin is also worried that if the stubbornness continues, it will cause a so-called war between the gods. That wouldn't make any sense. Her words made the woman extremely disappointed. She was once again red and dizzy. At this time, the man also agreed with Sobin's words. He said that when the woman walked in, he also saw the same image, especially when the woman held her eye. The other eye was completely motionless. Just because when the sister fell to her death, the right side of her head was impacted. So the paralysis of the younger brother's face was related to this. Moreover, when filming the show, it was at the right time, which is when the devil is most active. The natural sister can also switch at will. Sobin immediately connected the journey to win the championship. Lee Sobin's decoding here isn't end without a grand ceremony. Perhaps people will be a little disappointed, but her decryption has actually met with strong resistance and discouragement from the trustees. Sobin also gave her explanation. From the moment she walked in, I knew that there was a grandmother god behind her. It's a little hard to hear that her tragically dead sister is clinging to her without letting go. So it wasn't the so-called god who entered her, after a person asked. That's right. Sobin replied that her sister's spirit was clinging to her. The meaning of life lies in living for the present, cherishing relatives and friends by your side, not dwelling on the past or daydreaming about the future. Wish everyone peace and happiness. The following is the scene of Undeman's decryption. He had just sat down and waited for the bulldozer for a while when he said that he felt the appearance of his grandmother. She is the god in charge of psychics, helping shamans connect with the deceased. I'll let my grandmother pass the word through me, he said. The subject of his challenge is the child disappearing. As is customary, the man asked for the father's name as well as the child's detailed background information. The father said his daughter died 4 years ago. If he can be with his daughter for one more day, he is willing to give up everything he has. Saying that, the man opened the fan and the bell rang. He uses a unique way of singing to summon the gods. Summoning the deceased is the hardest. The man explained that this decoding was different from the previous one. I can't rely on vision. I had to be able to talk to the deceased. It was obvious that he was concentrating his mind to feel the anger. By the way, I begged my grandmother to help. After the bell stopped, the man began to decode. He said she was extremely precious to this man. But the little girl seems to have been born weak and sick. His daughter was unwell at the age of 6. When examined at the hospital, heart disease was detected. The man also pointed out that she often had accidents. I heard she couldn't breathe. She had a lot of signs before she died. There are many signs that she may be gone very soon. She almost drowned once. The answer is obviously absolutely correct. The 10-year-old girl almost drowned during a runaway, but was lucky to save a life. The man said that his wife, when her daughter was young, used to look for a magician, and the magician at that time had reminded her to be careful with the water. After all, children playing with water is inherently dangerous, so parents also take this warning to heart. Wherever he goes, he repeats it over and over again. But accidents still happen. Her birth expectancy was destined to be quite short. The man continued, I keep hearing her say, I want to live. The man's voice began to tremble as he recounted that she wanted to take a shower before school and fainted at that moment. He said his daughter has Parfin syndrome, a migratory disease that primarily affects connective tissue with clinical symptoms in the heart, bones, and eyes. Her main problem is cardiovascular disease. When her daughter was 16 years old, while bathing at home, she died suddenly from a heart attack. He said that at that time there was no sign at all. His daughter just passed away suddenly. Celebrating her mother's birthday has become the last reunion of the whole family. The man said that after she died, the mother also suffered from depression, locked herself in the house, and didn't even bother to go to bed. The father confirmed, yes, And then he asked me a question. My daughter had dreamed to me 4 to 5 times, but never told my wife a dream. Demand said the mother is not as strong as the father, and the daughter also always feels guilty for her mother, always worried about her. She definitely felt very affectionate. Demand said, the father added, during those 10 years, my wife took her to the hospital every 3 months. Demand feels that she understands things better than her peers, and even saves pocket money to buy small gifts that surprise her father. Demand affirmed that she never missed her parents' wedding anniversary and other important holidays. She's a very attentive child. Looking at the photo of the family of 5 people who were missing only the little girl, the feeling of grief immediately returned. The day before she died, she even made her own birthday cake for her mother. The father said that after his daughter's death, every image in front of his eyes always appeared when his daughter was alive, like a movie with constant lights. One day on the road, he heard someone calling his father, turned his head, and saw a little girl almost as tall as his daughter. I thought, if she were alive, she would look like this. I really wish I could go back to when she was alive. The girl's death was a shock to the man. Hearing this, the whole studio was silent, and the corners of everyone's eyes were filled with tears. Demas said, even if it is a soul, the child will find his mother. But his daughter did not. The first thing she said was, parents, don't think about me anymore. She actually didn't want her parents to suffer for her. She said that in her limited life, to come to this family, she was very satisfied. Demand asked the man if he still keeps the little girl's relic. He replied, we still have pictures of her childhood and a few dolls and photos that she likes. We still keep that poetic photo. Demand advised him to wash a new photo and burn the one he had used in the funeral. According to the investigation, the man always used his daughter's phone number when she was born. He said he really couldn't cancel the number. His daughter's friends still text him. Every day, he couldn't help but glance at his phone. Her friends will text her saying she misses her very much. He still hasn't made a death certificate for her. Really? Originally, he planned never to do this procedure. He even told his wife to wait after he died to carry out procedures for both father and son at the same time. But then his mother said that her daughter had a dream, saying that the families continued to hold her like this made it impossible for her to go out with friends. Finally, he and his wife produced a death certificate for their daughter on April 16th to hold back tears of agreement with the man's actions. We burned her and put her in the tower for the pole, but there she seemed very lonely, the father said. From then on, he visited his daughter almost every day. Later, when they moved from an apartment to a house with a garden, he immediately brought his daughter's remains home. Her father didn't want to leave her at all. We heard that he missed her very much, even getting a tattoo on his chest. Yes, he confirmed. After his daughter died, with his wife's consent, he tattooed his daughter's heart on his chest, engraving on it an image that he longed to remember day and night. After that, the program team prepared plant hot pot and fried chicken, both of which were her favorite dishes when she was born, and also wore a royal robe, preparing to start the ceremony. I'm going to explain this ritual, he said. A long time ago, the Princess of Paris would lead his daughter's soul to the afterlife. Immediately afterwards, traditional folk music and the singing of night and rang out. Along with the change of music, night and also dances unique dances. Compared to Sia's loss of emotional control, Damon's ritual is more formal and also more in line with actual Korean folk rituals. Immediately afterwards, a white linen cloth was stretched at the scene. This is an important part of Korean folklore, known as torn hemp. Damon explained, in terms of tearing the linen, there is something called the thorn gate, which is the last door to the afterlife. Through the cutting of the linen, we open a path to that door. He ironed the grain of rice on the hemp cloth, and Damon slowly tore it to the other end. If, as I tore the cloth, the person who had entered me, I could convey her message to the living. I'm here, Dad. She's here. Damon's voice changed. I reported my dreams to my father, not to my mother, because I also knew that she was very weak. He said that continuing to obey and not let go will only make it more difficult for his mother to overcome the pain and become more melancholy. The man said that his mother never failed to think of her. Tell me, if you miss me, don't cry when I look at your child's head or hug your child's pillow to sleep. Pay attention at this time. Dayman is operating on a stinky smell. His expression is completely different from usual. He said that his mother should raise her head and look at the stars in the sky more. After speaking, he subconsciously licked his lips. These small actions were her daily habits. Dayman said, hoping that both parents can be happy, not be held back by their own death, so that everyone in the house can rest assured. He also said that he was sorry that his mother couldn't come here today. At this time, the father held back his tears and asked, "Can you ask me for something?" "Yes, don't get sick with me. Don't worry too much about me." Then he seriously apologized, saying that it was their fault that caused the daughter who had just been born with the disease. "Don't blame yourself, Dayman," as the daughter replies. She said that she still wanted to be his daughter in the next life, and told him not to be sad anymore. "Do you remember what you said?" I said I would see you again in 20 years. At that time, he wanted to make up for all the time the father and son had missed. The man also regretted that he was always busy with work, never taking his daughter on a trip. When I miss you, come find me. You will turn into a bird, turn into a butterfly, to find you. You will come in your dream, just decide. The shy father, yes, we'll see each other again. The father and son promised each other. The man was also determined to let go of everything. Let's go. Later, Dayman changed into another faux costume to convey the final message of the spirit. He had already entered me, he said, and the emotion I felt was very sad. Dayman said that the little girl left too suddenly, and she didn't have time to leave the words she wanted to say. He was listening intently to everything she wanted to say to her father. Suddenly, Dayman fell. Dad, I died like this, I fell like this, I cried. Don't cry anymore, don't cry anymore, baby, don't cry anymore. He cried and told the girl's nostalgia for her father, also repeating his thanks. I love you. I just hope you go to work every day and come home safely. She said that she didn't say these things before because she didn't want to be a bad father, but she really wanted to live on. And there was still a lot of work to be done. My favorite painting is not finished. I promised to bring all the good things in the world to my parents. None of these wishes could be fulfilled, and now she was helpless to hope to see her parents happy. That was her biggest wish. Next, she blamed her father for not bringing her mother. The father could only say sorry. She said she was very thankful to her father for bringing the planned hot pot and fried chicken, but she wanted to eat a bowl of hot fried rice cooked by her mother from leftover ingredients in the refrigerator. Dad, thank you for doing these things for me. Son, don't worry about me, be happy. Visit me from time to time. The father replied, if you have time, come and visit us. He left the last sentence and hugged the man tightly. At this time, everyone in the studio was crying like rain. There is no party in the world that does not end. At the moment of despair and the man letting go, everything is a thing of the past, turning a spiritual program into a tear balm. It's still that saying, cherish the present, don't leave regrets in your life. In the end, the man said he had indeed intended to commit suicide. He knew he shouldn't think that way because he was the breadwinner of the family. But if time could go back, he wanted to go back to his wife's birthday the most, which was also the day before his daughter died. Even if it's just for an hour, he wants to be with his daughter without leaving half a step. The decoding part this time is the end. The following is the announcement of the scores. Sioha received 143 points, of which the trustee gave 47 points, the judge gave 12 points, and the messenger of destiny gave 84 points. Lee Subin only received 131 points. The trustee gave 0 points. This 0 point is ultimately given by the sister or brother. The judges gave Subin 41 points, and the messenger of destiny recognized him with 90 points. Lee Subin said that he has no resentment, no regrets. This was the choice that her grandmother had guided her. Even if she did it again, she would still do it. Ilwoon Dayman won the championship with a high score of 173, winning thanks to the sheer score given by the trustee. This competition format also caused heated controversy online. Everyone feels sorry for Lee Subin. Although Subin lost the competition, he made new friends in life here. This is probably her biggest harvest. The movie here is the end. Thank you for watching the entire video. If you want to make the next movie, please leave a comment below. Hello, and see you soon.